Let's give it like 10 seconds. Oh, like is okay. There we go. Without any further waiting, so I waited long enough. Now it's not even relevant, but you know, when all of history happens, everything's relevant. Anyways, what the fuck am I trying to say? Okay. Well, I couldn't do this rant in my regular outside real life because I got a new job. So I'll just update you on some shit that I've been through. I used to DoorDash a lot, which I did the retard rant thing, which I'm doing now. But I got a new job, and so I don't DoorDash anymore. And so I just do my 12-hour fucking job, which is a long time to work. And so I'm not driving around anymore. So I was gonna do this like a regular, just go like drive around and shit. But I soon realized that I can't just chalk up this movie that I seen to just a few minutes. I'm gonna need as much time as I'm allowed because it was just god awful. It was god awful, but okay, I'll just go right into it. So you can see down there, I'm doing well, we got 8 parts. 8 parts. Well, technically it's 7, and 8 is just me like ranting, whatever I can get in. Alright, so I'll just recap the film. And since I don't DoorDash anymore, instead of me driving around, you're gonna see me as Dasher, which just says the runner. I'm aware. This build that I have is called Dasher, so I'll show you in a second. But I'm gonna recap the film, and this is part 0. So I guess technically there are 8 parts. I did part 0 because technically recapping is just like something you should already know about it. Yeah, see it says Dasher. That's what I'm at right now. This is Dasher. I think I did a video a long time ago showing I had an account, like a character on this game called Dasher, but I'm obsessed with making characters, so I thought I'd change it, and add it to the runner. So, recapping the film. So, what film I'm talking about? I'm talking about the fucking Flash movie. The fucking Flash movie? You know that movie? With the dude DC. It says the Flash movie, but what the title really should fucking say is, Justice League, I had a name for it. Oh yeah, Justice League Zod's Return, or something like that. That's what it should be called, because even like before you know anything about this movie, that has nothing to do with the Flash. Flash characters, other than obviously Barry's fucking parents, but we'll include them because this movie actually doesn't have much Flash characters. It has Nora and Henry Allen, which are his parents, and then they have basically was it Dr. Julian or something like that from the beginning, and he's Dr. Alchemy, obviously, but like from the CW is like Julian. Even though I'm pretty sure Julian Albert, like, that was a main name they made up out of a culmination of names that the Dr. Alchemy has. Anyways, that character, and then there's like another character that's with them. Oh, Patty. It's Patty. That's right. It's Patty, fucking Dr. Alchemy, which he's not even Dr. Alchemy. He's just a guy named Julian, and he's only in the movie for like 2 seconds. So, and then the other character that's in this movie that is a Flash character, like from Flash comics, other than fucking Barry, is Iris. Gotta have Iris, which she's actually not bad. She's probably just pretty fucking normal. We only get to see her like at the beginning and at the end. So, God, let's recap this fucking disastrous film. I mean, but it had potential. I don't want to say it's completely terrible because it was pretty bad, but but it wasn't like like I didn't enjoy some parts of it. Like some parts of it I did enjoy, but other parts made me wanna you know just completely toss a whole kennel of dogs down a grate, down like a well with like a grinder in the end. Oh fuck! I didn't mean to do that. We're just gonna run around. Okay. Recapping this film. So how does the movie start? The movie starts from uh they mention like the costume change, I think. Or no, it's like he's Barry. Oh, okay, I remember. I remember. I was trying to remember how it starts. It's been a little while since I watched it, and I really don't want to watch it a second time because that would just be disrespectful to my eyesight. Fucking but basically the beginning part where he Barry has he's called by like Batman. Oh yeah, Batman is like doing some shit, which for some reason he stopped being terrorists in broad daylight, which is not a problem. It's Batman. He's got some shit he's got to do. Not always in the nighttime, but he's stopping criminals and shit, and he's like Flash, and he's to help him. So, um, in the movie, he oh hello. I don't know. Hold on. Stand by. I'm doing a review. What? No, no, it's fine. What do you Oh, okay. I can plug it in for you. Thanks. So you got a tiny one. Sorry, just a moment. I'm just plugging some shit in. Oh no, I'm not gonna. Yeah, and so the movie starts. The movie starts with this huge scene, which they want you to do. I will say there was like YouTubers that were talking about his suit and how sometimes it looks cool, which sometimes it looks goofy, which that is so true. They show him like they show him in this suit. It's like different than the suit he's ever been in, and I thought they mentioned his suit change, like why he changed his suit, but I'm starting to think that that was just like me trying to make sense of the movie. But anyways, I'll just stop trying to pull it apart and recap it first. I'm not good at recapping. Okay, so basically he goes to this thing, these terrorists and shit. They're blowing up this fucking town, right? And they're like, um, bombing hospitals and shit. Which I'm not even sure what they were trying to do. But anyways, bombing hospitals. And then he comes in. Alfred gets some good one-liners as he does. And Flash also mentions the fact that when he moves around, he has to eat, which I've never understood when it comes to speedsters, like free falling at super speed. Sorry, I'm doing it again. It's just, that part has never made sense to me. Because if you can move at super speed, obviously the world will slow down, right? But if you're free falling, you're not forcibly falling. Like, you're not, like, forcing gravity to make you move faster. You're just fucking falling. So there are moments where, I don't know, maybe he, like, lunges so hard that he just like, bounces, like, at fucking speed light. But that's never made any goddamn sense to me. But it is what it is. Anyways, okay, so there's that whole scene where he has to save all these babies in a hospital, and for some reason, while this was happening, they didn't think to, you know, it's like I think it was the terrorists that blew up the hospital and shit, but it's just like Alfred was like, hey, there's something going on underneath the hospital. It's just like collapsing. So clearly, I guess they didn't check for detonators. They're like, fuck it. The hospital blows up, it fucking blows up. There's a cemetery right around the corner. Who gives a shit? But no. They're like, yeah, Flash comes in, he saves a bunch of babies, right? Saves a whole bunch of fucking babies. And then there's that whole scene where he, like, puts him in a microwave. He puts a baby in a microwave and shit. That's his idea of doing it. I really don't want to like pull apart every fucking moment. Okay, I know it's been 10 minutes. I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna recap it, and then I'm just gonna put my side thoughts on the other parts. Okay, so it's like, alright, the hospital thing. He saves all these babies from a hospital and shit. He he talks about how he's always the cleanup for Justice League. Right? They show Wonder Woman in what is now the shortest fucking skirt, if you can even call it that at this point. At this point, it's just like, I'm sorry, I'm trailing off again, but it's ridiculous. Every time I see Wonder Woman, it's with less and less clothes, and it's ridiculous because if her age matched what she looked like, it's like she looked how old she was, you would not put her in those clothes, which, thank God. You know, it's so irritating though. They just put her in like no fucking clothing. Whatever. It's like short shit. It um. So yeah, Wonder Woman appears, which is nice to see her again. Always. She appears. Batman and Flash say some weird shit. They say some weird ass shit because they got the lasso of truth. Always a pleasure with the lasso of truth. And the fucking right. So the plot of the movie begins, and Barry is trying to find evidence to get his father out of prison. And this is okay. So apparently, what he needs is he needs to prove that his father wasn't there when his mother was being murdered. Because you know where his father was while his mother was being murdered? Oh, he was at a grocery store. Don't you remember from the comics? He was at the grocery store buying a can of tomatoes. But oh man, the can of tomatoes were on a different shelf, and so can't prove that he was there. Can't get like witnesses to say, oh yeah, he was here. You know. But anyways, it doesn't make any sense. But anyways, Barry's trying to find some evidence to get Henry Allen, motherfucker, who looks different for no fucking reason. I don't know, maybe just those other prisoners. I mean, he is a doctor. They could have like fucked him up, and then they changed his face. I mean, you can change a face, but unless he's doing bone surgery on his jawline, just saying. Anyways, he's trying to get evidence to get his dad out of prison, which makes sense. Oh, I must have went to the zone was unavailable. Okay, so Barry he contacts like Batman afterwards, tries to like hang out with him and shit, talk to him. And he's like, hey, oh yeah, while he's like running around and saving the babies in the beginning, he slips into the Speed Force, basically. In a way where, it's like every time the Speed Force is mentioned, it's different. It's like, sometimes it's lightning, sometimes in the comics, there's like a bunch of people living there from different time periods. Sometimes it's just Barry walking around talking to the Speed Force that looks like his mother. It's never made any fucking sense. So once again, we go full PS2 mode, and Barry is in the Speed Force, and he's seeing all these time periods, and he's seeing them all overlap and shit. And time periods that he's seeing, they're like either ones that have happened over the years, which they're very PS2. I'm gonna say that it's very like there are parts of the movie where you're watching it where you're like, wow, this is actually really cool. And there are parts of it there where you're like wow, they thought this was like acceptable to like submit. It was ridiculous. I mean, they only had several fucking years to figure it out. Just saying. Anyways, right. Let's try to stop being sidetracked. Barry fucking he thinks, oh, I could go back in time and I could stop my dad from it happening, and I can stop my mom from dying. And Batman's like, whoa, if you go back in time and fuck with shit's gonna be fucked with. And then Barry's like, his response is like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck with some shit, basically. And so, and also, this version of Barry, like I know Barry's an awkward character, but holy shit, they turned him into like Michael Cera on crack. Like he's so fucking weird. I could be convinced that's not Barry Allen in the Flash movie. That's Morty, full on Morty. It just he acts so fucking awkward. It's weird. You know, it's like there's being awkward because you're like into different things than people, and then there's having fucking straight up autism. You know, there's differences, and they fucking show. You know, I'm just saying. Fucking. Okay, so yeah, he talks about Batman about going back in time and stopping his mother from being murdered, and Batman's like, you shouldn't do that because things are gonna get wonky. And Barry thinks about doing it, and he thinks he should go back in time, and you know what he should do? The reason that his dad left, he does all this critical thinking, critical big brain moments where he's like, you know, the reason that my mom was murdered wasn't because someone came in and killed her. It was because my mom needed tomato sauce. I'm not even fucking kidding. He literally is like, if my dad didn't have to go to the store to buy tomato sauce, a can of tomato sauce, like if my mom had just bought the tomato sauce, she would be alive. And so you guessed it, he goes back in time. What does he do? Oh no no, he doesn't stop Thawne like he's supposed to. He doesn't stop Thawne, who is the person who murdered his mother. Like we all know this. We all know it. We've seen the fucking scene a million fucking times. It went on for like several years. You know, in the comics, everywhere. We know what happened. But no. Apparently, Andy, the director, Andy Douchenozzle, I don't remember what his last name was. I just remember it was too many letters and I just didn't want to pronounce it correctly. Fucking. He knows what's really going on. It's because Henry Allen had to go to the grocery store. But if Nora had just bought a can of sauce before then, she would be alive. Anyways, yeah, he goes back in time, sees his mom at a grocery store, which his mom has to be like the nicest person in the world, because from her perspective, a random man comes up to her. Like for him, it's like a big moment. You know, he's like seeing his mom again over several years, and this has happened in different universes too. But this moment in particular is just like, you know, like it's like a little weird. You know, it's like you're not like at your home and shit, and your future son is here. It's like there's a guy in a grocery store crying, and you know, it's just you just decide to full on coddle him like a child. It just, you know, worked at a lot of grocery stores. Never seen anything like that happening. But anyways, what do I know? Fucking, god damn, there's a lot of thugs around here. Got a whole fucking gang around here. Look at that, a mugger over there, two thugs over there. It's fucked up. Jesus. Make a bank. Fucking. So yeah, he goes back in time. He puts at super speed while his mother is coddling him, which she thinks she's coddling a stranger, but he knows it's his mother. He goes back in time, puts the tomato sauce in her fucking cart, does nothing else, goes immediately back to the same moment he left, basically. And it's you know, his parents are alive, right? They're making spaghetti, which spaghetti is mentioned so much in this fucking movie. You could probably actually label it as a character. Literally is one of the plot points. Spaghetti. Like, because mom makes that good old spaghetti, you know, like Nora Allen used to, only how she does. And it's like, I don't want to be that person, but I mean, yeah, I like spaghetti, right? And I've noticed a little something. They added a little bit of zest to Barry's like origin. You know, it's like there are different universes, and obviously it would make sense for him to have different ethnicities in different universes, which is cool. But if you're gonna choose an ethnicity like Spanish, or I'm not sure what they were going with, either Spanish or Mexican or something, because I'm Spanish, so I can never tell if someone's trying to do Mexican or Spanish. It's very different because he's light skinned, so it makes me think that he's like his family is like Spanish kind of. I think it was mentioned, but I just did not care to remember. Like, don't do the foods that
Who are you talking to?
Not talking to anybody. Doing a review.
Hmm?
Reviewing.
I found a cat outside. It was like chilling on her steps, so we gave it tuna and it ran away.
Wow.
It's probably gonna come back later.
What a story, Mark.
So, Caleb,
What do
where's
you want?
on air me?
Means it's live. It's happening right now. They're recording my voice right now. And someone out there could possibly watch it, but I don't really give a damn about that.
Anyway, so like,
Make it quick.
I just have to. Do you know any water parks that start with an H and it's in like Clinton?
Water parks? Do I know any water parks? Me?
Like,
You know,
with
because
an
I'm so
H.
knowledgeable about water parks. Me.
With an H.
Because you can catch me always at a water park, just hanging there, you know.
Yeah, I know you
Me
have
specifically.
Ears, but do you know?
No, I don't know any fucking water parks. Do you know any museums that are just around town that are only centered around dogs? Because that's you, you know. You're that big museum goer. That's what you're asking me. That's the face I'm giving you, that you're giving me. Welcome. Christ. Fucking anyways. I was fucking water parks, Jesus Christ. Fucking where was I? Oh yes, tomato soup. The fucking food. Yeah, so if you're gonna change his ethnicity, right? Which I don't got a problem with. It's just really interesting to see all these multiverses. Why would the family like recipe be fucking spaghetti? Why wouldn't it be like any food from that culture? Why would it be fucking spaghetti? You know, because it's not like they were like saying like. I mean, there's a difference between Italian and Spain and Mexican. There are big fucking differences. And unless they were trying to go with Italian and say, oh yeah, that's why they love spaghetti. Also, there's like a million fucking foods. Why spaghetti? Spaghetti is the most fucking simple food you can find. A homeless man could make spaghetti with $2. Pasta and tomato soup, tomato sauce don't cost that much. It is literally the laziest fucking meal. But anyways. Look at tomato fucking soup. Okay, so yeah, he comes back to the regular place that he left. Like, he comes back home to his mom's fucking parents' house or whatever, and he sees that his mother's alive. His father's not in prison anymore, and apparently he's like he's like in college, which he didn't realize this. And then we meet the other version of Barry eventually, and it's introduced that when he changed things, when he went back in time, changing things by changing things, when he put a can of tomato soup in his mother's fucking cart, it changed the fucking universe. When he went back in time and did that, it changed the whole fucking universe. So now, Batman's a different person. All of culture from like movies, Back to the Future is played by like different people. All these different movies are different. Batman's the only fucking hero that exists. Uh, no Aquaman, no Wonder Woman, no nothing. They all fucked off. Supergirl exists, but she's in Russia for some reason. And Superman's like dead. I'll get to that in a second. So yeah, he realizes, oh my god, what I should do now is he takes young Barry and gives him powers, and because apparently he went back in time. He didn't go to the same moment he thought he went to, because apparently he went to the exact day that he's supposed to get his powers. So he takes that version of Barry from the new timeline and basically takes him into Star Labs, gets his ass electrocuted, and immediately has powers and shit. But he loses his powers, of course. Can't have Flash content without Flash losing his powers every 5 seconds. But yeah, he fucking he uh. Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Go go go! Sorry. Okay. So yeah, tiny fucking kid Flash, which I have a lot that I have to say about all this shit, but I'm just trying to recap it so I'm not like wasting my time. Yeah, so basically, little Barry, young Barry, which I think that's what he's labeled as. Young Barry gets his powers. He's always had his mother in his life, so he's like different. You know, Flash is like, oh my god, I changed the world. Only Batman exists. Well, time to go search for Batman and basically tell him what I did. So he does that, and he finds Michael Keaton's Batman, who's old as shit, and basically isn't Batman anymore because something sad that happened that I don't fucking care about because it doesn't matter. Um, yeah, he meets Batman, man. He's like, "Hey, I fucked up the universe. We're friends in a different reality." And Michael Keaton fucking attacks him, explains to him how the multiverse works through fucking spaghetti. Not even shitting. Spaghetti once again returns and becomes a main character. It's more of a main character than fucking Barry is. When I say the main characters of the Flash movie, 2023, which that might have been the year it came out, which is this year. Can't remember at this point. Yeah, I think it's 2023. It'll be Barry, Batman, and Spaghetti. Those are the three main characters of this movie. So Batman explains how the multiverse works through fucking spaghetti. The spaghetti is eaten, which is a plot point, I guess, that you need to know about apparently. Um, yeah, he's basically like, oh my god, there's a whole Justice League. They existed, now they're gone. We should probably like go find them and shit. Now we found Batman, and Batman's like, what about this other guy, Superman? You're talking about? Because when he goes in the new reality, he realizes this is the same time that General Zod is appearing. So apparently, at the same time Barry was getting his super speed, he was literally being struck by lightning. It was literally the same time that General Zod was doing Man of Steel and coming around and doing the whole whirly-dirly fucking, you know, shaky shit, trying to take over the world and shit. Superman like snaps his neck. Apparently, it hasn't happened yet. And the whole thing with the static over the TV happens, and he's like, "Oh my god, I remember this moment," which that's actually really cool because they show you his first Flash costume, which they never showed that before. Of course, it looks dumb, but that's kind of what you want in a first Flash suit. You know, if his suit looks amazing immediately, you're like, somebody helped him, you know. But they show that, which is pretty cool. They show where he was during Man of Steel. You get to see that he was actually there, trying to help Superman, but he's only saved one person. And he comes in. No, once he learns that, he realizes, oh shit, this universe doesn't have a Superman to stop it because he's like, Superman is the person who stopped General Zod, so I need to find Superman now that I found Batman. And so Batman helps him find Superman and learns, oh my god, the baby fucking ship thing, it didn't land in fucking Kentucky or whatever the fuck he's from. Kansas? That's right, it's from Kansas. It didn't land in Kansas. Landed in fucking Russia and shit. And we're like, oh fuck, landed in Russia. You know, so they do this whole mission thing. Barry still doesn't have powers, but young Barry does, so he tries to teach him. He gives him his costume. Him and Batman go there, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool scene of them like breaking into like the Russia fucking place, fighting a whole bunch of dudes. They go in and they realize it's a fucking Supergirl. Motherfucking Supergirl is in existence. She exists. She's being malnourished in fucking Russia, which makes sense. They fucking Batman is like ready to just leave her to fate, like just not even help her at all, just abandon her. But Flash is like, yeah, we should probably save her now that he's like, it's not Superman though. We're not gonna save her. She's not Superman. I just think that's a funny moment. But yeah, they saved Supergirl basically. Supergirl doesn't know anything about Earth apparently. After living all these years, she didn't even come up with one thing, which is she's supposed to be like the equivalent of Superman and Flashpoint. Which there are some what's it called, parallels. There are some parallels to Flashpoint, but that is all there are. They're not even good parallels, but there are parallels. But they're not entirely bad. They're just not good. I'll explain later. So they save Supergirl. Supergirl sees the sun, gets her powers. You know, takes her revenge on fucking the Russian soldiers and shit. They escape. Uh, they get her a costume, and then she goes, "Oh, Kryptonians are here. Well, those are my people. So, you know, I should side with them. Why would I side with you?" And so they go. She flies over to General Zod like she's gonna join him. And apparently, in Man of Steel, this was the moment in Man of Steel where he would have, General Zod would have appeared, and Superman would be there to greet him. And then that would be before like the whole war thing started, where he was like destroying all Metropolis and shit. So when he's there, Superman's not there. Apparently, he just like immediately kills the general or something, and it starts the whole thing. So he gets out the Earth machines, the terraforming Earth machines, and he starts raping the Earth as you do. And she sees that he kills a guy, and she goes, "Oh my God, no! He's a general. Why would he be associated with death?" And basically it goes, "You know what? You're right. I shouldn't help them. They're crazy. We're good people. We don't murder people." Because every single Kryptonian, I guaranteed, was 100% top of his class, good boy parameters, never bad, just saying. They're good people. And she joins Flash, the Flashes, and the Batman. The fuck? Oh. Hey, you bigger. Um, yeah, so it starts like, meanwhile, while she's like doing all that, Barry, original Barry, the one that's like, that we know, older Barry gets in the thing, just like in the Flashpoint thing, but instead it's in the Batcave. Makes this whole contraption in order to get his powers back. He does it like twice and like fucking dies. And then so Supergirl comes in and goes, "You know what he needs? He just needs to be in the outer atmosphere." And does that. He gets struck a third fucking time, and it still doesn't work. And then Barry just does the finger thing, just touches him, and he immediately wakes up because apparently that's all he needed was to be fingered, and that's all we needed for him to wake up, which is just great. All that electricity, and all he needed was a tiny jolt. Fuck were we doing? You know. So now that Barry's got his powers, young Barry grabs a bat suit, makes a flash suit out of it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I did that in the few seconds that you were dead." Like, really? Oh, okay. Makes a costume that even costume designers would vomit at, but it's funny. It's pretty funny, like how stupid it is. But that part at least gives me joy. Um, they're like, "Oh yeah, we gotta go stop Zod because Zod's like taking over the world, and Superman's not here anymore because we don't know what happened to Superman. But at least we got Supergirl. Should be enough, right?" So they go there. They go to the war fight, which this is almost towards the end of the movie at this point. You're thinking I'm like almost to the half point. I felt like when we got to this point, we were like, this is like the first fight basically with Zod. They go there and he, they go and fight General Zod, right? He kills them. The berries go, uh, they go like into the speed. They get the idea to go in the Speed Force. They change a thing. Batman dies like it's 7 different fucking ways. You know, he tries to like bomb a ship, which I'm gonna say the way that Batman's going out in this sense doesn't make any sense because Batman wouldn't make those dumbass like decisions. He wouldn't be like, a man 20 times my strength, and me being like as old as I am and unexperienced, like like he'd been out of the game so fucking much. that he should have been like, yeah, I'm obviously not gonna go toe to toe with an alien because I'm not fucking strong enough. No, he goes, yeah, I'm gonna face this guy by myself. I'm gonna beat a Kryptonian, like with no prep time. And it's proven that prep time is his ability because he fucking dies. He full on fucking dies. And Supergirl dies. Superman, Batman, and Supergirl are just dying left and right. And eventually, Flash tries to teach Barry that he's like, okay, let's try a few more things. So they try a few more things, and they still fail. So Barry, young Barry, never having experienced death ever in his life, gets obsessed with trying to save him. Goes back a million times, and he tells him like, he's like, oh, I'm gonna do it no matter what. I'm gonna save Batman and Supergirl, and the world's gonna be saved. But what older Flash realizes is that this is he has created like a universe basically, and for some reason now he's in a different universe and not a different timeline. And he's like, oh, this universe was meant to die. And I was like, okay, so anything? They were just like, it's not a new timeline, it's a different universe. That was the reveal. And Olderberry's like, these worlds are meant to die. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, throughout the movie, when he goes in Speed Force, somebody eats him out, and it's, I'm not even gonna say the name that he's called, because that's not the fucking character. That character, we're gonna call him, Moldy Flash. So Moldy Flash comes in and he like yeets him, he's like all crusty and shit. And, throughout the movie there are small moments where he basically gets yeeted left and right. He doesn't have any lines. He just smacks Olderberry whenever he tries to leave that timeline or universe or whatever's going on. Olderberry and Youngberry are in the Speed Force now, and Youngberry's like trying as hard as he can a million times to go back in time to try to stop what's happening. Moldy Flash appears, and Olderberry realizes that Moldy Flash is the motherfucking young Barry from, like, the one that we've been following this whole time. And basically reveals the whole movie's fucking origin story. And as soon as we learn this, young Barry comes out, sees Moldy Flash, and young Barry, it's revealed that he eventually, if Flash were to, like, not kill them, not kill, fucking, what's his name? Moldy Flash, basically. Like, if he were to survive, all the universes and all the worlds would have collided, and they would all die. All the ones that you're thinking of, all the cameos from all the Supermen and all the Batman, like, across the multiverse and shit. Jay Garrick, which is a made-up cameo, because it's the character Jay Garrick, but in no version that we've seen. And he's basically like, oh yeah, all these worlds are meant to die and shit. And now that we know that, um, Moldy Flash tries to kill original Flash because he's now that he knows that he's younger Barry, he basically is like, you are the person that gave me my powers. You tried to help me, and I tried to stop you. And this is the climax of the movie. And you think, oh, we're gonna get this huge scene with him. Boom, dies immediately. He just stretches out his hand, goes to stab Flash, and young Barry stands in the way, even though Moldy Flash had lived several timelines and knew what the future in like knew what happened in the future. So he should have known there was going to be a timeline where his younger self was going to pop in. So apparently in Moldy Flash's time when he was developing, there eventually, I guess there was a timeline or whatever where he would have not stand and original Flash would have died, and he would have just went back in time and fucked with Barry until he kills him. But no, that's not what happens. What happens is he stabs him, and young Barry gets killed. So basically, he kills his fucking self, which is, if you're watching the movie, that's something that you kind of want. You're like that Barry. He was just so fucking insufferable. But maybe that's like what they were trying to do, because that's kind of how people were like talking about. That's how Barry used to be in the other movies, like in the Joss Whedon version of Justice League. And yeah, so Multi Flash dies, and all the universes don't die anymore. They go back to normal, except for the one that they were on, like Batman and Supergirl. Oh yeah, they're still fucked. They're still dead. So Barry is like, you know what I should do? I should go back in time and I should stop myself from creating this world. And remember, this universe was created because of a can of soup, a can of fucking tomato sauce. So Barry goes back in time and goes, you know what? Takes that can of tomato sauce, puts it back on the shelf, and says, I'm just gonna live life as it was before I changed anything, right? His father gets out of, oh yeah, he changes one thing. The only thing he changed is that he went a little forward in time, and when his father went to the grocery store, he took the can of tomato fucking sauce and he put it on the top shelf. That way, the camera can see him, even though the clerk could have said the witness or not. It's stupid. It's stupid, but that's basically the recap. And then the extra scene is like, he's like, oh, I'm just gonna I'm waiting for Batman, and he's like out starting his relationship with Iris, and Batman comes out, and it's George Clooney, and you're like, wow, okay, that's the universe we're going with, Jesus. And then it's his tooth falls out. That's right, his tooth falls out, and Barry becomes Hillbilly Jonas, you know, Hell, Old Man Jenkins teeth, and that's the fucking movie. That is the recap of the fucking movie. That was kind of hard to get through. As dumb as it was. That's why it was hard to get through, because it was dumb. Like the recap alone. All right, hold on. Let me get on to the next part. Don't mind me. Part one. All right. All right. You see that? Part one. Okay. First half. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get into some of that spicy shit. So this first half. So I'm going to do a first half, a second half, and then there's other points that I want to talk about, but I've labeled them all different. Like I've labeled them all like different sections, like I mentioned before. This is part first half. So next part will be the second half. So um yeah. So the first half of the movie is not as okay. Let me explain actually. The movie is not for a Flash movie, it's not good. It's not a good Flash movie. It is a horrible fucking Flash movie. But for a Justice League movie, it's more of a Justice League movie because the only person that we don't see, actually, the only person we don't see in this Justice League, in this fucking Flash movie, is Cyborg. He mentions him in a line, but oh, I want to mention also that he's called the Flash now, Because if you remember in all the other films, they just called him Barry because the reason he's called the Flash is because he met another Barry, which is the real fucking Barry, Grant Gustin's Flash. And he goes, "What are you called?" "Oh, I'm the Flash." "Oh, you're the Flash. That's a cool name." And so he gets his idea from another Flash. So it basically confirms that this whole universe is just a copycat fucking universe. But anyways, fucking Flash. Let's go Flash now. But the first half, like if I didn't know where the movie was going, I would be like, it's pretty good. It's good in a sense where I'm thinking that the story is gonna lead somewhere, and we're not just drifting off. Like we're setting up this whole story of getting kind of like the Justice League together. It's kind of like a Flashpoint, which you gotta remember, Flashpoint was a Justice League movie. God damn it! It was a Justice League movie, but it was like the comic. I don't know. I mean, it was a Flash comic. It was a Justice League comic. I think it. I swear I thought it was a Justice League comic. The movie labels it as Justice League. Hold on. Let me fucking investigate real quick. I got one right here. Where the fuck are you? It is a Flash comic. Okay, so the comic is the Flashpoint comic is a Flash story, but this movie is based off of basically the fucking movie because it's mostly Justice League. But honestly, that it's okay. We're talking about the first half. The first half of the movie, when you're watching it, you're like, as a comedy movie, I would say it's good as a comedy movie. It's not a good like hero film, and there's a lot of people that were saying that they liked it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I don't know why people are talking about." I don't know why they're saying it's bad because it's good. Yeah, as a comedy film, it's great. It's pretty funny. There are moments I actually bursted out laughing because there are several weird ass moments that are just like really funny. You know, it's a very humorous film. And if I didn't know any better, I think it was a mock superhero film. Like I would think that it's not a real superhero film, but it's like a film made to make fun of superhero films because that's how it's written. Like I don't know if you remember there's a movie called Superhero Movie. It's literally like Drake Bell plays in this like parody Spider-Man world, and it's basically Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movie, but it's like him being silly and shit. And that's basically what this movie is. It's like it says the Flash, and I see him as the Flash, but then we're not watching the Flash. We're watching a character kind of like the Flash, but it's like similar to the Flash. Kind of the Flash. That's what they should have called it. What they should have called it is Justice League Zod's Return, because I would actually appreciate it more if it was labeled as Justice League. Only because it's like there is no Flash story, and you could say, oh wait, Barry's parents are in it, and Iris is in it. Okay, Iris is in it for like 5 fucking seconds, and Barry's parents, oh yeah, their story is in it, except for it's not, because yeah, they're in the movie, but they're not acting as Barry's parents in a sense where they're not doing the story. They're being like, oh yeah, the reason that Nora died was because of a can of fucking tomato sauce. That's the reason that he fucking died. They like didn't even mention Thawne at all. They didn't name him. They didn't even say who killed Nora at all. And that actually really fucking pissed me off. Because at least fucking mention the fact that, oh my god, we don't know who, at the end where they're like, okay, it's like, yeah, they were, okay, that's the second half. But it's like, they released him, right? They released him from prison, but they still don't know who the killer is. They didn't even mention like, oh, that killer's on the loose because we haven't found him. They're just like, oh, he didn't kill her, so I guess case closed. don't need to find the killer. But the first half of the movie is not actually entirely bad, except for the PS2 moments. PS2 moments are not good. They are goofy. They are pretty funny. There's moments where, like when he's in the Speed Force and they try to show you different timelines, and I can see the texture pack literally stretching on Superman's face. It is as if he has the lowest fucking resolution I've ever seen on TV. It's ever been allowed by mankind. You know, the way they show his powers, uh, I have to agree with the fact that whenever they show him running, he is always running in a single straight line every single time. And when Flash runs, he's not just like running through the entire fucking earth. You know, he's like running in certain directions. But whenever they do it, they stretch it out, and I guess their excuse for it looking weird is because it's Flash's vision is like that. He has PS2 vision, so you know we don't want to do anything with special effects. And I also want to mention I'm not like a CGI like I don't give a fuck about CGI usually. When I see CGI and it's bad, I will not know because I'm not a fucking animator. I don't know. You know, maybe later on if I learn to become an animator, but me now, I do not notice CGI in movies. People try to say like a lot of the Marvel movies, which that's true. They do use CGI like all the time. Not saying they don't, but if they're using it, I don't know when. Obviously, with like, I mean, it's I don't know what they want. You know, you're not gonna get 180p. You know, because it's obviously not fucking happening. But they do their best with what they have. But not with the Flash movie. No, no, no. The scenes that are real and the scenes that are CGI, they're very noticeable. And if I notice those changes, if I notice the differences, you know it's bad, because I don't give a fuck about that shit. I care about the story. Yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve, is the fucking can of tomatoes. The can of tomatoes is the reason that the whole universe fucking changed. It's not because of Thawne murdering his mother, which caused a temporal wave. Apparently anything to do with changing time, even something as simple as deciding when you buy a can of tomato sauce, apparently that could change the whole fucking universe. You know, who knew the universe was that fucking sensitive? You know, you can have like whole worlds where like Batman kills everyone, worlds where everyone's a zombie, but if you have a normal world and you go back in time and you buy a different product, you could make those worlds happen in a second. Who knew that that was the tipping domino that caused that universe to happen? You know, it's just fucking stupid. I do like the teaming up though. Like, there is too much Batman in this movie. That's for fucking sure. Too much Batman, too much goddamn super people. Not enough Flash. This is not a Flash film. I just want to pull that out. This movie has basically nothing to do with the Flash. It's like he comes in, he finds his friends, right? He finds his friends, he takes them together, they die, and then he gives up. That's the movie. That's basically the movie. And it's really fucking irritating. Yeah, and then Young Barry, fucking Young Barry, he is exhausting. There are moments where you're like, you know, he's pretty funny, but in moments where you're like, he is like constantly fucking around. He doesn't leave even like in a like moments where you're supposed to be serious and shit. He's still like fucking around, which that's more of Spider-Man. That's not like Flash, you know. Especially Barry. If any Flash, that's Wally. You know, that's like what Wally would be like as a Flash. But Barry's not like that normally. I mean, he can be funny, but it's like he's not like ridiculously rambunctious. You know, he's like he is like a fucking scientist, and I actually had to remind myself that he was a forensic scientist, or what. He's like an intern in this movie or something, or he might actually be a scientist at this point. I think when he gets struck by lightning, he's supposed to be an intern, but now like current day in the movie, he's like a scientist, which it doesn't really fucking matter. You don't see him do any scientist shit. You see him like buy coffee, right? And I don't think this movie understands how like time works at all because he goes to this he's like at a coffee shop in like the very beginning, the first time you ever see him. Alfred's calling him and being like, "Hey, motherfucker, you need to go and help Batman because Batman apparently can't do shit by himself anymore. Getting too old. Needs your help." And he's like, "Hey, what about oh yeah, Superman is in this movie. I actually remembered that. So this is a Justice League film entirely because Barry's like, "Well, you couldn't contact Superman," and then they show, "Oh yeah, Superman's stopping a volcano, so he's got to do that." Cyborg wouldn't answer his phone call. Wonder Woman wouldn't answer, but she appears anyways. Fucking what else we got? So we got Aquaman. Aquaman, I can't remember what his reasoning was, but there was a reason why he couldn't fucking appear. Probably because he was drunk as hell or something. But yeah, this is guy talking to him like at the coffee shop, and the guy is talking to him, and he's like telling him about this like story about his life and shit, about his sister or something. And then he runs out. He goes to the bathroom, and then he runs out at super speed, which everyone notices, and no one was just like, "Hey, wait a minute. Wasn't there only one guy in that bathroom?" And he just ran out of that bathroom, so the Flash is probably that guy that was standing in the coffee shop. You know, if that were me, that's what I would do. But apparently it's a world of retards, and so, you know, they're just like, "Oh my god, what was that gust of wind and lightning behind it?" Probably just the wind. You know, the wind just naturally has lightning in it. You know how it is. You know, ain't no thing. Wind's gotta hold, gotta have be strapped. You know, but yeah, he goes there. He does that whole like fucking scene where he's like doing the hospital thing, which that was like an adrenaline junkie, I would say, type of scene because okay, so Barry usually does like when he's gonna like save people and shit. He'll like grab them, pick them up, and run off with them. You know, it's not often he has to like solve like fuck. I'm not like a machine that can carry 16 fucking babies at once. So he does these little things where he like you know he a baby's all the babies are about to get like hit by glass and debris and shit, and so he's just like running around tossing things to save them at light speed. But then that made me think if that was actually happening at light fucking speed, like it's happening faster than light can process, or at least it's going at light speed because it's like slowing down, and it's like sometimes they go faster, like when he's hungry and shit. But I was like, you know, if he was actually uh, like whipping around those babies trying to save them, they would be mush. You know, they would at least be completely crippled because he's whipping them around at light speed. You know, and then they do that scene like with Quicksilver, like basically what Quicksilver did in like the Apocalypse movie, where he's like holding people, but he's also like falling while doing it, and then he runs down. So like there's like a safety barrier that protects them or some shit, so their necks don't just like fucking snap while he's moving. And apparently he can also move in super speed while free falling, which yeah, explain that. And then you know that's like a huge scene. Like they promoted it and everything. And then later he goes back to that scene and just looks out with the Speed Force. And the Speed Force is the wonkiest part of this fucking. What do you call it? A speed bowl or something like that? Called it like a speed bowl. Really, it's him going into like the Speed Force and like trying to turn back time. And instead of because apparently they can only film the actor running in one fucking direction. You know, he can't be running in like all these directions. He just has to be running in place. So they created a speed bowl, which is not a thing. But who fucking cares at this point? You know, seeing Ben Affleck, it's like you could tell that Batman in that scene was not prepared. Like, he woke up, like, in the middle of the day, not ready for anything. You know, threw on his training suit, because that suit looked like shit. It was blue, you know, which was really cool to see. But it was, like, unfinished, almost. That's what the suit looked like. And then, you know, Barry sometimes will be standing, and you'll be like, wow, that suit's really cool. And then sometimes he'll be standing, and you're like, wow, he looks goofy as hell. You know, like, it's never an even thing. It's either sometimes he looks like a fucking idiot, and sometimes he looks really awesome. Which, I gotta say, rather than the other movies, I do like how Barry has kind of like matured, like the one that we follow. Because standing two Barrys that we can't stand would probably be, you like, I already don't want to watch the movie, but it would be impossible to watch ever again if I had to be forced to. So, yeah, the first half, not so bad, I guess, but it's so stupid. Why not have Thawne and the goddamn Dark Flash? I'm actually trying to save that for later because the Dark Flash is such a disrespect to the actual character. Walter West, Dark Flash. I I I can't. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't pretend like it's a good character. And there are some people who are just saying they weren't talking about it, but I'm gonna make a whole section talking about Dark Flash and how fucking stupid it is. Because yeah, there's already not no Flash characters in this fucking movie. We get like the Julian Albert fucking cameo with Dr. Alchemy basically, but it's not him. They want you to look at a guy named Julian and go, oh my god, is that, you know, like Dr. Albert or whatever? And they're like, oh my god, is that fucking Dr. Alchemy? You're like, no, he's not Alchemy yet. He's just fucking, you know, just a guy. A Flash movie should have been about the Flash. It had nothing to do with the Flash from start to finish. In the beginning, he helps out Batman. In the end, he helps out Batman. In the middle, he helps out Supergirl and Batman. None of it has to do with him. Him helping himself, they had to sideline his fucking actual life. Like, this isn't the Flash movie. This is Justice League, and also don't forget Flash is in this movie too. Because it's like his plot was actually like shredded. Because it wasn't a can of fucking tomato soup, tomato sauce or whatever that um made it so she died. It was goddamn Thawne. And I'll get that in a second, but yeah, that's basically the first fucking half, you know. It's the first half isn't as bad as the second half, but it ain't good. I'll tell you that much. There are moments of it that are fun, and when you're watching the first half, you're feeling good about it. You're like, okay, we're building up to a certain point of the story. The story's gonna have a cool payoff, right? It's the second half that you gotta worry about. Now we're gonna change call the second half. Second half. Okay. Now we're at the second half. Let me go to a different location just so you can tell I'm not like. Just so I'm not in the same place. You know, plus that's. I should have been running around the Legends area. Also, that's me substituting me driving. That's why I'm just running around and not doing missions and stuff. Because in Retard Rants, I'm always like just driving in the shaky cam. So I figured I should just be running since I don't DoorDash anymore. So that's kind of why I'm like not like playing the game. I'm just like kind of like strolling around, you know. Sorry, I gotta check my mail real quick. And the second half. The second half of the film does not do the first half any favors. Like, you're watching the second half, and you're like, as soon as they get there, you're like, okay, it's gonna be a huge build up. They're gonna fight Zod. Zod's a cool villain. You know, he's a really good character. It's a good villain and shit. Sorry, I get to remember how to fucking do this. Damn. Sorry, give me a second. There we go. Okay, it's just been a while since I did these trick-or-treater things. Okay, thanks for that. I got candy. Wow, I literally did all that and I just got a pose. Okay, so the second half doesn't do the first half any favors. What I mean by that is that when you're watching a movie, like a comic book movie, and when it comes to story writing, those type of stories, there's the way that they do it. I mean, there's different ways that you can do it, but this is kind of the general laydown of how you do it. You know, like, this isn't like set in law, but I mean, this is kind of people like expect. Sorry, taking a drink of some Baja Blast. You know where that's from. Oh yeah, I also want to mention my local. You know what? Okay, hold on. I'll talk about it later. I'll tell you later. Don't be confused. Just forget about it. Fucking So when you're doing a movie like a comic book film, you have the first fight with the villain usually. The first fight with the villain always wins the first fight. Second fight, that okay. So basically, the first fight the villain wins, and the second or third or the last one. It's always the last fight, but there could be fights in between where the villain win or the hero win, but the hero is always going to win in the end. That's usually how story, you know, when you're just like a generic fucking writer and you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to make a bullshit fucking generic Mad Libs fucking superhero film." That's how you do it. You know, it's kind of expected that when you team up a bunch of characters that you know, it's like Superman just had himself and he defeated Zod, but them together as a team can't even defeat him. You know, I'm saying it's like kind of bullshit. It's like they have more. It's like they have they have Supergirl, they have fucking Batman, they have two Flashes. That's like four fucking characters. And Superman in his movie only had one fucking character. I mean, Superman's powerful, but Zod should not be that fucking hard to defeat. Honestly, he shouldn't. It shouldn't be that fucking hard. He's fucking Zod. You know, it's like not to put him down or anything, but in that movie, he got his fucking neck snapped. I will say though, he's great. Zod is Zod is a fantastic villain in the Man of Steel world, the Snyderverse or whatever you want to call it. But when you team up a bunch of characters, you go out of your way to make us watch all this team up. They save their teammates. He goes to different worlds and shit, sees different versions of his teammates. You're like, okay, so this is all about building, you know? No, it's not about that at all. So, Batman's character, it is so depressing. And I refuse to believe that is Michael Keaton's last performance as Batman. This is almost disrespectful because it's to say that, oh yeah, not only did he fail as Batman, he also dies. And on the number of times I've seen Batman die in anything, I can probably fit on one hand. Not even. Batman doesn't die very often. But when he does, it's because he's busting his ass to save his life. It's not because he jumps out of a jet and dies instantly. He would make a decision like that. That's not Batman. That's Kevin Wayne. You know, that's not Bruce Wayne, because we all know Bruce Wayne would bust his fucking hump to survive. He would kill entire worlds before he let himself die. You know, if that's not the one universe where he does like die and it's like, oh no, you know. But and you know the only reason he dies in that universe where like Joker finally kills him, because it's like, hey, what if Joker actually won? You know, like for once he didn't like fucking just fail constantly. And that's the only reason that he died in that universe. But you know, it's pretty cool. Look at this. It's a pretty nice setup. You don't get to come here very often anymore. What is this? What is that? Is that a part of me? Is that a part of my character? Sorry, I just never... That's an accessory. That's actually really cool. Sure. I'll keep a little fucking lamp around. Might as well. So when you're doing that type of story building, you're like, okay, you know, you kind of are building off the fact that it's like a story kind of movie. But no, you go out of your way to tell me about the heartaches that Supergirl went through to survive, the heartaches that Batman went through to survive, and then you're gonna tell me it don't matter. That world just dies because it's gotta. It's lazy writing. So lazy. That's the equivalent of saying, just give me money, I don't care what you see, you know. What? What do you want?
To step on your toes.
Oh.
Mom won't allow me to do it though. What?
I'm not talking to you.
Yes, you are.
Says Emperor Aquaman. It would have been great to see that. They were trying to base it off of Flashpoint, Paradox, the comic. But,
What you doing?
will you fuck off?
No. Not
At
until
least-
you tell me what you play.
Not. You know what I'm playing.
No, I don't.
The same game I always play.
You play different games every day.
I'm doing something. I don't got time to answer all your fucking questions.
Tell me. What's your name?
I'm a little busy right now.
No, you're not. Why do you have tequila in your room?
What?
Sorry, not tequila. What do you have?
'Cause I'm an adult.
Mom!
Okay, so not any further fucking interruptions. So, so the whole thing, Batman. Hold on, it's 'cause they're gonna fucking interrupt again.
I'll go get it. I'll check it. No, he had tequila.
So he had one sip because I drank the whole fucking bottle myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, how much was in there? Like this much?
yeah, literally.
I thought so.
It was a tiny bit. It was a really small amount. Yeah, there was barely anything left.
Okay, I just want to let you know that I did not drink this all one night.
I
I drank
figured.
this over the course of a couple of weeks.
I don't figure that.
That's good.
So, like, listen every day.
This- yeah, that's good. So, what would have been great is to actually get Flashpoint as an actual adaptation instead of the fucking shit that we got. Instead of lazily just giving up halfway through the fucking movie. It's like they were trying to build up. They're like, oh yeah, we're, Zod's come back, even though Zod has nothing to do with Flashpoint. They're like, oh yeah, making a point to be like, oh, in other movies. In the other movies, Zod was a big villain, so great to have him come back. Could have been a villain. Aquaman. Could have had a universe where Aquaman was a bad guy, and then, you know why that's great? Because the next movie in that world, that's like the last ever movie, is an Aquaman movie. So it would have been great to see an evil Aquaman in the multiverse. We've seen an evil everyone. We've seen. Look at that, that was pretty cool. Green Lantern, Man Hunter. Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter. Okay, so it would have been great. It would have set up Aquaman perfectly, but it did not set Aquaman up for anything but failure, only because it didn't prepare us for anything. There's no reason to show us that post-credit scene other than to be like, hey, remember when George Clooney was Batman? Yeah, that's the world he's in. And we're like, okay, thanks for that. Like, bullshit. Fucking absolute bukkake. So, we could have gotten. I'm actually gonna have a section called "What We Should Have Gotten," and I'll talk about it there. Um, yeah. So the second half did not pay off at all. The second half was basically like, as soon as you get to the moment, like, oh man, I was enjoying it. Like when I didn't know what was gonna happen, I made points to not look at what was gonna happen, so I didn't know they were gonna die in the end when I was watching it for the first time. I watched it, and I was like, really, Batman? Batman dies. You're telling me Batman dies? Okay, it's like, yeah, there's some universes where he dies, but it's not gonna be in 1,000 timelines. Batman only dies like that if he wants to fucking die. That's the only way. Batman is one of those characters that he will do anything to survive. Anything. And you're not telling me that, oh, it's because this is a world where he's gotta die. It's like, even in the worlds like that, where those worlds where he was meant to die, he would have still become like some monster like he does in the other ones. Like the Batman who laughs. Fuck, if I can get up there. Fuck, there's like an alternate Batman up there. Ah. Ugh. Oh, fuck. Damn it. Absolute bullshit. Okay, you know what? I got an idea. This'll work. I forgot, in this game, when you're a speedster, you're basically Spider-Man. Boom! This is what I was trying to get to. See? This is a universe where Batman should have died. Like, that's that version of Batman. He should have died. Sorry, I'm not trying to get on Wonder Woman. If she would just get the fuck out of my way so I can show you Batman. I'm trying to show you Batman. This bitch keeps getting in my fucking way. Yeah, see? Look how fucked up he is. That is not the face of a man that dies on occasion. You know. It's like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect Supergirl to die either, because if Superman is able to defeat Zod by himself, then Supergirl, having help from everyone, should have no fucking problem defeating General Zod. So, clearly, she's inexperienced. She's never been in, like, battle ever. And it's just, ridiculous. So, that was basically the second half. Okay, yeah. Absolute bullshit. So let me move on to Thawne. The big area that people they didn't really talk about it. They were just like, oh yeah, you know how Thawne has like murdered his mother? He's not in this film. We're getting ready for that part. Okay. So, this one we're going to a different place. Let's go to Gotham because this is just really one of the darkest moments, the darkest part of this fucking review. Not to put any puns because like the villain of this fucking movie was I'll tell you the fucking villain of the movie was. It was the director. He was the villain of this fucking movie. Okay. Alright. Part 3. Thawne is defeated by a goddamn can of motherfucking tomato sauce. Let me tell you something. And after all the recaps and the retellings, this is probably the actual, like, ranting area. In a million fucking thousand billion timelines where we've seen Thawne and Barry, which is a lot. We've seen him in Rebirth, which is... Sorry, hold on. Sorry, hold on, give me a second. I really need to buy a new fucking, I really just need new shit. So, Thawne. Motherfucking Thawne. Defeated by a goddamn can of motherfucking shit. I don't know what the fuck was just there. Fuck you. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, is that what I'm supposed to be doing? Sorry, I should have never started this. I thought this was gonna be easy. It's fucking definitely easy. Okay, so anyways, in every universe where Thawne is, in every single universe, Thawne is the person who kills Barry's mother. With the only exception being, the universe, so before Thawne was the person that killed his mother actually was not supposed to be dead. There was a universe way before. It was like one of the earliest versions of him. He would be part of the Justice League and shit. And then, like, his mother would be in the background, just like in a wheelchair. Like, she'd be alive. And only in recent years being, like, actually a long time, like, after the very first version, the next version of Flash that we've ever known since, his mother has been murdered. Since the dawn of, modern Flash age that we know about today, Thawne is the person that murders his mother in every fucking reality. Every single world, every fucking timeline, it doesn't matter what happens. Thawne finds that bitch, kills her ass, frames Henry. That is exactly the fucking story. No, in this fucking movie, this proves that it's more of a parody, because if Thawne was actually fucking there in the universe, and he's the person that murdered her, the only way he's not murdering Nora is if he's watching Barry do all this, go, hey, instead of investigating my mom's murder and finding the killer, I'm gonna try to prevent it by making sure Dad didn't have to go to the fucking store and buy a goddamn can of tomato sauce with stupid fucking spaghetti. And Thawne literally just out of pure stupidity looked in at him at absolute awe. Absolutely autistic, retarded awe, and went, wow, I'm gonna see how this plays out. Knowing Thawne, that's the only way that is even possible. Because you ain't telling me that Barry stopped his mother from dying because he changed the events of the whereabouts of a fucking can of tomato sauce. Like, the amount of fucking spaghetti in this goddamn movie is ridiculous. You can't go 15 minutes without there being someone talking about fucking spaghetti. Constantly. Fucking tomato sauce, spaghetti. Batman explains how the multiverse works to fucking spaghetti. I just don't. I don't want to see it ever again. I don't want to talk about fucking spaghetti. I don't want to talk about no goddamn tomato sauce. And it's so fucking dumb. It's like Thawne saw that Barry changed when his mother bought tomato sauce and went, I guess I'm not killing Nora. I guess this means I can't kill her today. You know, how does that make any fucking sense? This goes to show that the guy had no idea what he was talking about. He's like, oh yeah, I've loved the Flash. He's been my favorite character ever since I was a little child. Every time you see a person that's directed a movie, regardless of what it is, you know, let's just say they make a live action, it don't even matter what it is, honestly. Fucking Archie, let's just say that. They did that actually. No, fuck, wait, hold on. They basically anything in live action that's what was like a cartoon or something, you know, like Garfield was. I watched Garfield every single day growing up, and so I just had to make a live action and respect the lore and shit. That's basically when this guy, when they were interviewing the director, he was like, you know, I grew up reading the Flash comics and I just wanted to make a Flash movie. Oh yeah? Well, if you're such a fucking Flash fan, then how come there's no Flash story in it? There's no fucking Flash. You know what I would have loved to see? Any Flash character besides Barry. Like, when I say that, I'm not talking about goddamn the stupid fucking characters. Like, goddamn, you know, it's great to see, you know, Julian Albert, but that's actually sad that that's the only person that we were able to see. We should have seen Captain Cold in full costume, Rogues, any of the Rogues, any of them. Seeing him fight them in live action would have been great, because they exist in the world somewhere, but they just don't do anything, I guess. Knowing that universe, who knows, they could be working at a fucking farmer's market. I have no idea. It's more fucking probable than goddamn Thawne being defeated by a fucking can of tomato sauce. It really pisses me off. It's so stupid. It's like, if you're a Flash fan, that is a fuck you. That is a huge fuck you. Because Thawne is such a huge part of Barry's life. It makes that his point that it consumes him. That is literally why he turns into the Flash, because he's trying to stop the person who murdered his mother, and eventually he goes back in time, tries to stop it, and then when he does, you know, fucking, it's so stupid. It's so fucking irritating. Even in the Flashpoint Paradox, they tried to do that. They tried to be like, Thawne took his costume off, he dressed like your average ski mask shopper, and just stabbed her. And then his father appeared as a doctor and went, oh my god, are you stabbed? Here, let me touch your wound and the weapon that he used to stab you. It'd make more sense. It'd make more sense in the fucking is sad, but it actually made more sense in CW, where he put it in his hand, and they were like, oh my god, you murdered her, you know, because it's like within a blink of an eye, and that's how a speedster would frame someone. He wouldn't walk in, but that's besides the point. He would not exist. You know, Thawne wouldn't just not fucking do it only because he saw Barry buy a can of fucking tomato sauce. If anything, that'd probably drive him to kill more people in his fucking family. Knowing Thawne. God, this place is fucking dangerous. I'm just trying to deliver him some DoorDash. You know, I just keep getting fucked left and right. So, it's so fucking stupid. It's like, the reason it's... You could have had a whole villain there. I don't know why they did that whole thing with the fake Flash. And I call him the fake Flash because Dark Flash is not... That's not the Dark Flash. You're misusing the character. That's like... I don't want to get into all that because that's my next section. But I want to say labeling... Like, not using Thawne as the main villain is what killed this fucking movie. Honestly, if you'd have just had Thawne in it, I would have been like, oh man, most of the plot's horrible, but hey, at least we got to see what Thawne looked like in this world, you know, which you would have compared to Barry's suit, probably could guess like what Flash would have looked like, what Reverse Flash would have looked like. You know, and it's like Flash looks, Reverse Flash kind of looks different in every universe, so it'd be cool to see what he would look like in this world. And it's just so fucking stupid. They replace it with a character they basically created, made up, and just said, this is the villain basically, but not really, because as soon as he gets to fight him, he'll die instantly. And then fucking Thawne has got to be one of the greatest fucking comic book villains in stories, because he is just so unending. You know, he's just so for infinitely in your face. Like, you can kill him 1,000 times and he still comes back. You know, you can disintegrate him. See the fucker in the next panel. It's like, it's fucked up. Or the next story even. He dies and they're like, oh, he's finally dead, and he like appears literally the next time. The amount of times I've seen Thawne disintegrated is fucking ridiculous in live action and comic book, both alike. Live action, of course, being the CW. And also in the, I guess in the Flash comic. But it's really sad that they call this the Flash movie, because, man, what we needed was a Flash movie. We got another Justice League film. Because for years I always said that there was no movie that is an actual Flash movie. Because that famous movie that everybody's thinking about, the Flashpoint Paradox, that's a Justice League movie. And this Flash movie is based off of that. So it's basically also a Justice League movie. And so basically, besides the show, The Flash, and the 90s show, The Flash, the only fucking thing that belongs to him are those shows and one goofy animation of The Flash, and that is like, there was a show about The Flash, like the Super Friends and shit, you know? Other than other people's content, he doesn't have his own show, like his own movie. It's besides the Lego movie. The Lego movie is the only fucking one that's more accurate than the goddamn than live action. I'll tell you something. I'm not like a huge the only reason I have, like, you've seen me, I've had gameplays of the Lego games. The only reason I play those games is because of character customization. And that's probably a huge reason why you've never seen me play the Skywalker Saga, is because if it doesn't have character customization, I don't want to play it. I am obsessed with character customization. I don't know why. I just am. And so LEGO games often give you that option of having character customization. And so just because it's often LEGO, their customization is acceptable. So I've seen it a lot. And so there are times where I was like, you know, I like DC, I like Flash. And so the LEGO games, they're not bad. They can be fun. Like if you're like having fun, you know, and not being like serious about it. Some of those Lego builds can be really cool too, and plus they're fucking Legos. Who doesn't love Legos? You know. And I've seen that Lego Flash movie, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's actually better. The Lego DC universe. The fact that I can say that is insane, but the Lego universe, is better, has better story writing and connection to the other movies than anything DC has created in live action. And that's sad. That is sad that they can't get people to agree on anything. So you get movies that are kind of connected, and then the connection is later dropped by fuck-ups, like this movie. So this movie says it's a Flash movie, but the fact that Thawne wasn't in it, was like, what's even the fucking point? Tell me one Flash villain that was in this movie, and you can't say Dark Flash, because that's not a Flash villain. That is literally a character from a different time period. Like, I'll get into it. I'll get into that in a second, but he's just not allowed. I'll wait. I'll wait. There is none, because he fights thugs in the beginning with Batman, and I refuse to believe Batman needed help with a couple thugs. It should have been like, Deathstroke's men. I could believe that Batman would have a hard time fighting them. But have Batman struggling with a couple of thugs makes me think it's time to hang up the cape, pal. You're getting a little fucking old. You've seen the other movies. He literally was just rolling over people with his Batmobile. He was doing so well. Why does he need to Flash for this? Really, it was the people endangered, I think, that he needed help with. Because he had no trouble clapping those fucking guys without Barry's help. Just saying. And, there's certain things that just don't make fucking sense. Like Batman killing himself. If the only way that he would do that is if he truly knew that he had nothing, you know. But even then, Batman's not that character. Batman doesn't do that. Batman is the type of character that he will fight to the end. No matter what he has to do, he'll do it. And, yeah, things may look bleak, and things are bleak, and maybe they will always be bleak, but as long as you can survive, that's all that should matter. And clearly that is not what the writer had no fucking clue what he was doing. Just like making shit up as he's going along. I'm probably gonna die because I just want to run around, you know. It is such a disrespect to the Flash character to just having Dark Flash as the villain and not putting any other fucking Flash character in the movie. No Flash characters, like Flash characters as in like Flash and other Flash villains. Like Heatwave, you couldn't have snuck in some Heatwave, snuck in a little Weather Wizard, a little trickster, a little bit of Hunter Solomon even. Like gave me a little bit of Garrick, sneak me some cold, you know, slide my way under the table like sneak me some motherfucking Piper, you know, just full on, just like having cameo or just the beginning of the movie should have been Batman trying to face off a rogue. It should have been like Weather Wizard or Girder. Girder was in a comic that I made, that cover where it was like, oh, it's Flash from the movie, but he's fighting Girder and not Girder in the movie because Girder's not in the movie because that would have been too cool. We have to have some European fucking thugs, just random thugs wearing black. That has to be the villain. And also himself, but not himself from anything that's cool, himself from dumb shit. As in Dark Flash. Which is so fucking stupid to call it that. That's not Dark Flash. That's crusty, moldy Flash. We know what Dark Flash looks like, and it's Walter West. We already went through that series when Wally was Flash. That was done and over with. That was like his future Flash. If you're gonna do an evil Flash, you have an evil Barry. There's not many evil Barrys out there, but when they are, it's either the Blitzen, or it's like from the Nazi world, or it's Future Flash, which you can argue that Future Flash is not evil, but I won't get into that. It's just depressing. No Thawne. You can't make a Flash movie and not even mention Thawne. Mention like him in a sense where you're not even using anything to describe him. You're like, they didn't even mention her having a murderer. They're just like, oh yeah, she died because she was killed. They weren't even like, oh, somebody killed her. They were like, oh, she was killed. How? She died. Like, yeah, somebody killed her, but it's like, they were like, oh, the man was described as this, It weren't. They didn't. They were just like, oh yeah, somebody killed her on this day, and that was it. There was no, like, there was no describing of anything. They weren't like, they're like, we've been searching for the killer, if it's not Henry. Which in the end, they release him from prison, but still, like, they don't mention her killer. Which, that post-credit scene, that whole movie needs rewriting, honestly. As a story writer myself, I can't fix that film. It's too broken. Like, right when you said, when I was watching it, and I seen that moment where Barry went, oh, I should go back in time, and I should, you know what? I shouldn't go and stop her from being murdered. I should go and make sure Dad doesn't leave so she can have that can of tomato sauce. So he doesn't have to leave so the murder doesn't come. But you know damn well if that was a real, like, DC world, and not some bullshit movie plot where we're just trying to make money. In a real world situation, Thawne would have still gone there. He would have still killed her. Henry would still be in prison, and that would have done nothing. The fact that I was like, I watched that. I watched him go back in time, go to the grocery store, put a can of tomato sauce in her fucking cart. I was baffled. This was greenlit. I thought it was like he was joking, and I thought we were not going to have to see that. They took time to film him putting a can of tomato fucking sauce in the cart and say that is the reason the universe fucking dies, is because she buys a can of tomato sauce. Do you understand why I'm so fucking pissed? Dumb. Dumb decisions. Dumb ways to die, you know. One moment, you're buying a can of tomato soup, can of tomato sauce, whatever, fucking cares, to make your dumbass spaghetti, you know? Because spaghetti is such a Mexican fucking cuisine, you know? Every time I'm going to a house with people of Latin descent, they're always pulling out that bowl of spaghetti. I don't know about you, but I know that for sure. But it's so fucking stupid. It's like a can of fucking tomato sauce. I can't believe Thawne didn't just pop out and just choke him. I wanted to choke him, and I'm not even a fucking villain of the Flash. I'm just some guy who likes the Flash and wants the character to be represented fucking correctly. I don't care if they made him like, I don't care what they do with him. I don't care if they made him albino. It's just do it correctly. You know, if you're gonna make him albino, make him do some like involve Thawne. Thawne has to be there. Literally, he fucking has to. That's like if they made a movie about Batman. Pfft, this movie basically was into the Batman verse, for one, and for two, that's like what they did with the tomato can shit. The tomato can fucking universe destruction is they basically it's like taking a Batman movie and saying, oh, Bruce is Batman because his parents died on this day. They died in Crime Alley, and you know, if Joe Chill was simply just given drugs an hour before that, it's like not even mentioning Joe Chill. It's like if if how I have to like dumb myself down because I can't mention Joe Chill by the logic of this movie. I can't mention the killer's name or him in any aspect. I can't when I go to change something. It can't be anything including what has actually to do with the story. You know, so it'd be like if Batman was like, man, if only my dad had drank his, you know, fizzy pop before, we wouldn't have had to go down that alley. You know, if he had just gotten that refill and not had to get up and just say, okay, we gotta leave now. If we went back in time and stopped Thomas Wayne from getting a refill, then Joe Chill probably wouldn't have came out and shot him. You know, that's basically what they did. They're like, oh, with the can of tomato sauce, that'll destroy the universe. You know, but the fact that we were watching it, like I was watching it, and I was legit seeing this happen in live action. I can't believe they full on fucking filmed it. They filmed it. That's something that you go, oh, wouldn't that be funny? That'd be pretty silly, haha. You could maybe do it in a YouTube poop or something, like a YouTube animation. Make it funny. This is a fucking like $1 million movie, and they were like, yes, that is a good fucking story. We gotta do it. Green light it. Can of tomato sauce. That's the reason. You know, that's the balance. Who knew that the balance of the fucking universe was, you know, the weight of a fucking can of tomato sauce? Just no mention of Thawne anywhere. Absolute fucking bullshit. Vomit. It's just so fucking stupid. It's like, okay, I've got the Thawne thing out of the way. It's like, Thawne should have been there from the beginning to the end, because if it's not even an origin movie, I can understand if you're being like, this movie is like him becoming the Flash, you know, and he goes back in time. But if you involve time travel, Thawne has to be there. Thawne is a fucking time traveler. And you know who he could have also had instead of Batman? He could have fucking Booster Gold, who was also in the Flashpoint story. He had his own series from Flashpoint. It was so popular. He got his own series, and it wasn't even his story. Just saying, like, they fucked up big by just not wanting to mention Thawne, which I don't understand that, because that's kind of like, you know, that's literally, he's more of a rival to Flash than Joker is to Batman. Like, I've never seen a better rival for a character, other than, like, maybe, I don't know, not even Lex. There's some universes where Lex is, like, good friends with Superman. Thawne is, like, they created each other, like yin and yang. It's like, Thawne is Thawne. He is the Reverse Flash because of Barry. Because Barry existed as the Flash, and so he went back in time to try to destroy Barry's mantle, and so he never becomes the Flash. Stop him from becoming the Flash. But then he goes back in time and accidentally causes his existence, causes the Flash to exist, and now it's unchangeable. Now, if you stop Thawne from killing Barry's mother, Thawne won't exist either. So you can't have one without the other, and that's the whole fucking beauty of it. And they took that out. They cut out Thawne, and then they fucked the whole with pineapples and razor blades and shit, and a can of tomato sauce. Dumb. Dumb, 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 dumb. You know, it's fucking stupid. It's like, cutting him out of the movie, goofy decision. Let's move on to the next subject. Okay. Go to a different area. Where should we go? Cursed Gotham City. Whoa. Is that not where I am? Thought I was there. The fuck is Cursed Gotham City? Yeah, so this section will be about me talking about that retard ass fucking movie, Dark Flash. Because here's the thing. That's not the character. Dark Flash is not that even a little bit. He doesn't even resemble him in the ways that don't matter. Like, if you're gonna at least be like Dark, you know what they should have done? They bring on this other character because they basically don't know what they're fucking doing, and so they're just going like, we need an act. For this movie that we're making, right? They have a role where the main character is in like an existence, and he's like in the movie. The main character's in the movie, and the main character needs like a supporting character. That supporting character is supposed to be more goofy and more relatable to the audience, kind of. Um, and this goofy character will be what the main character isn't. You know, it'll be like funny, while it'll just be the opposite of what the normal Barry is. So they decide what should they do to fix that? Oh yeah, they'll just straight up like clone Barry and have him be his own supporting character. It's like it worked for Moon Knight, but that's a different thing. It worked for Moon Knight because that's how Moon Knight's character works. You know, technically those are different characters. So it works when he's acting off himself, because you know that when Mark Spector is talking to Steven, it's not him talking to himself like it is talking to himself in a mirror, but they don't see it like that. They're different characters. Barry is literally goes back in time and talks to a version of himself that's like never had Nora die. and that's the difference. You know, Annie wears yellow throughout the whole movie. What I think it should have been, instead of young Barry, having young Barry, which doesn't make any sense, having Barry teach a younger version of himself from a different universe who turns into a dark, crusty version of whatever the fuck he's supposed to be. It's, it's like, it's goofy. Just even saying, like, even trying to greenlight that is just stupid. It's like, it should have been Wally. This movie should have had Wally in it, and it should have been him meeting Wally at the beginning of the movie. That way he doesn't have to go through all that stupid bullshit of having to go back in time and meet himself, and then, do all that dumb shit. It should have been... Oh, wow, that's weird. She's different. It should have been Wally because Dark Flash is Wally. Like, literally from the movie. The character that you just replace young Barry with Wally West, and it's correct. That little bit of difference, changing him from young Barry to Wally West, that would have made the movie so much more better. Because he would have actually been Dark Flash. Because in the comics, the only fucking character to ever be named Dark Flash is a character called Walter West. And Walter West is Wally from a mirror universe where his wife died, and so he lost all fucking hope and turned into this psychopath, turned into this evil speedster, and that is who Dark Flash is. So Dark Flash is not Barry. Evil Barry is Future Flash and maybe the Nazi universe where he's the character called Blitzen, which I don't know why. Just like a fucking reindeer. That doesn't even make sense. But regardless, like Savitar, I guess, from the Flash now. But it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't really make entirely a lot of sense. It's like if Batman met a younger version of himself, and then Batman turned into the Joker. But it wasn't really the Joker. It was it wasn't the, it'd be like if Batman met a younger version of Bruce Wayne that turned into the Joker, but it's not the Joker, and he looks like the Joker, but they call him Twisty Man, and Twisty Man is just Bruce, who was a little sad, and because he's a little sad, he met somebody at a mall that died, and so now that he met someone, he is sad and now evil. That is basically what they did. It's like him turning evil was because, oh, you're not gonna help me? You're not gonna help me like older Barry was just trying to make sense of the situation. All he had to do was wait 5 seconds, and then Flash Barry would tell him, hey, yeah, we can't, there are certain moments, in the universe, you just, can't change. And he's like, what? A version of me understands this, but me, the only difference being a can of tomato sauce, is differently placed in my universe? I don't understand this. I am evil now. That's literally what they did. And that is just so fucking stupid. It's just so dumb. It should have, Dark Flash looks nothing like that in the comics. He is not that character at all. Dark Flash, Walter West, he's red. He has a red suit like Wally West Flash, and he looks like Wally, except for the difference being his symbol is different. His symbol is similar to I would say either Johnny Quick or Jay, I guess. And it's black. The yellow parts on Wally's suit are black instead of yellow, and that is what the character known as Dark Flash looks like. Ain't no fucking character that's oh, he's Dark Flash, and it's like fucking Barry, It's like every time Barry does one evil thing, they're like, oh my god, it's Dark Flash. And you're like, fucking stop that. He's not the goddamn Dark Flash. And hearing people call him Dark Flash is just depressing. Because nobody knows the actual, like, fucking character, which is so fucking sad. Because Walter West actually, like, the Dark Flash, the real Dark Flash, had a depressing story. You know, it was heartbreaking. How, you know, his, like, wife died, and so he couldn't handle it. And, much like all the other versions, he fucking got depressed and shit. And so he kind of resorted to, like, why are we, like, trying to save villains? Why aren't we just trying to, like, just take them out while we can? Which is something that Future Flash did, which makes sense because Wally was trained by Barry, so it makes sense that they would kind of end up similar. But, like, Barry turned into a full-on, like, he went full-on insane with Future Flash. He went full bonkers and shit. Walter West did evil stuff, you know, but eventually I think he was redeemed at some point by his other self, his original self from the real world or whatever. And, you know, it's like, it's just so stupid. People call him Dark Flash, and he looks nothing like the character. He doesn't even look, like, interesting. He looks like a kid trying to draw a gargoyle in the dark who's standing upright instead of hunching. Oh god. Is that a... What should I do this? Okay, yeah, that was an ultimate character. Oh, and anyways, retard fucking Dark Flash. It really sucks because it taints the actual character Dark Flash. It's actually really sad because we could have had a story about Barry meeting Wally, you know, and having him be like, oh my god, now there's not just Barry all the time being the only fucking character of his stories. They couldn't even add Wally. It's like, yeah, you got Iris in there. How about a little bit of Wally, you know? It's like, wasn't Iris, like... It's confusing as to, you know, which one was related to who, but Wally's supposed to be, like, his, like, nephew, you know? And, Walter West... Wallace, being the African-American version of Wally from New 52, he was, like, related to Iris, but Ginger Wally was related to Barry. I'm still confused on that. That's what happens when you get retarded writers who fuck your shit up and then you have to fix it. You know, it's like... And you didn't even have to do Walter West. You know what they could have done? Here's what would have been great. Instead of doing Dark Flash and just saying, oh, there's a bad guy, you gotta defeat him because this is a superhero movie, so you automatically just gotta fight any fucking random stupid fucking villain that we create, even if it doesn't make any sense. It should have been Wally. I'm gonna make a thing, like, I'm gonna have a segment about what we should have done, but just for Dark Flash, I'm just gonna say this. I'll say it again in the other segment though. That what it should have been, instead of Dark Flash, if you really, really are, like, dead set on trying to get Dark Flash in there, you should have made him. You really should have done it like Barry meets Wally at the beginning of the movie. Thawne is trying to stop him, and who else does Thawne have on his side? He has a character called Dark Flash, and Dark Flash could have been the Dark Flash could have been actual Walter West. So you're like, oh my god. So Barry doesn't know who Thawne is, and it's revealed that it's revealed that Dark Flash is Wally, and so there was a point in the movie where he'd been like, oh my god, is that yellow guy, is that Barry? And then you realize it's Thawne, and you're like, oh my god, okay, so it's the guy like trying to twist his mind. But I mean, you could have done that. That would have been a better version of Dark Flash, instead of whatever the fuck you were trying to do, which was a cash grab. Which, that's what this whole fucking movie was. This whole movie was like, I want money, I don't care about the story, and I'll pretend like I do, because I'm a fucking cock. And that's the words of Andy Mushashu. I don't remember what his last name was, and I don't give a fuck. He's a piece of shit, and I hope he gets grinded in a fucking, like, car crusher. Absolute bullcocky. Bolognese sauce. Yeah, I wouldn't have minded if they used a character, like, that actually was from the fucking comics. It's like, because technically this isn't a comic book movie anymore. This is just a parody. Because that is not Dark Flash. You literally just took a character and you found a name that you've flipped through 1,000 pages and said, oh, hey, I seen the word Dark Flash, that's cool. Or maybe you didn't even do that. Maybe you don't even know who Dark Flash is. That's fucking clear. It's clear you're just like, oh, this is like Flash, except for he's like a bad guy. You know, so I just call him like Dark Flash. Without doing any research. The director, growing up with these comics, you'd think he would have known who Dark Flash was. And no, he made up a character all on his own that was from Wally West era Flash, which was a great time period. Great version of the Flash. Wally was a great Flash, you know. And the fact that we're just like being revoked of Wally content was really just stabbing me right in the cock. I just want to see some Wally at some point. Wally as the Flash, just like in the Justice League animated movie, like a show, because he was great in that movie. I mean, he was great in the cartoon, which is sad because it's a fucking cartoon, and there are no live actions of Wally West Flash, other than him being Kid Flash for 1,000 fucking years until he grows out of his baby boy costume. And like in CW, how he clearly was wearing a different costume in season 9, and you could tell that suit had to be refitted because Wally was no longer like fucking 10, and so they had to refit it. But you're like, oh, it's the same costume from like, you know, like 10, 20 fucking years ago when he was a child. He's still a child also, and he's just been praying for fucking eternity. And that's a whole fucking other creature. I'm not gonna pounce on that. But Dark Flash, no. I don't know what that shit was. Crusty ass moldy Flash. It wasn't even interesting. Like, I wouldn't mind if it even looked a little interesting. It was dumb. That design was lazy. It was like, literally they took like clay and they just plaster it over him, and they were like, you know, it looks like something like what it wasn't like what it was before. Looks a little bit interesting in the sense where it looks like we tried, so we might as well not do anything else. You know, fucking Dark Flash. It's an absolute disrespect to the actual real fucking Dark Flash, who went through so much character development to get where he was in his story back in the 90s or whatever. And he is such a great character that's never mentioned ever, and the one time you use his name, Dark Flash, that is actually what he was like called. He was called Dark Flash, Walter West. And there were moments in the CW where that was happening, and you know, as a character who's grown up reading Flash comics, as a person that's grown up reading Flash comics, I know who Dark Flash is. You know, it's like I've known for a while. Back when Wally was being mind raped in CW by Savitar, I was like, oh, are we gonna get Dark Flash? I really thought that Wally was gonna turn into Dark Flash, but it still ended up cool because we got to see what's his name, Savitar, Future Flash, which was still pretty cool. See, that's what it looks like when you make up a character. You add a character like Savitar and Future Flash, and you create Savitar from CW. That's how you make up a character from actual lore and have it be good, because he's based off of two different characters. You took nothing and ended up with less. Impressive, to say the least. Alright, on to the next. Alright. So, what I'm going to do in this next segment here is number 5, part number 5. And I've noticed there's some confusion. I wanted to shed some fucking light on this subject. You'll understand in a moment. Hold on. Alright, so if I got that right, comic books versus superhero films. We're gonna step into the real world for a second, and we are gonna talk about the real fucking world of movie making, that is. I've noticed something people don't really understand. People who are just moviegoers and they don't read comics. There is a clear difference between comic book movies and superhero films. Let me tell you something. A comic book movie is not for children. I'm gonna tell you that right now. A comic book movie is something that is just in a different realm. It is a combination of comedy, horror, mystery, sci-fi, literally every genre that's ever been known to story writing. That's what comic book films represent. It represents the comic book side of things. Superhero films? Superhero. You know what superhero films are? Superhero films are cash grabs that are bright colors for young little kids who want to buy fanny packs and lunch bags and shirts that know nothing about the character. You know, you'll see like a kid with like, uh, God, with like Black Adam, you know, like Black Adam merch, and you're like, man, I love Black Adam. He's my favorite superhero. Okay, yeah, that's what I was talking about. The fucking yeah. You see a kid like walking around, yeah, with like a shirt on that's like Black Adam. He's like, Black Adam's my favorite superhero, and he's my favorite like anti-hero. I'm gonna tell you something, motherfucker. Black Adam, first, ain't no fucking hero. Black Adam is a psychopath. He is almost as bad as Thawne. Some days, you know, he realizes, you know, things are more important than what I have going on. But in the end, you're all fighting him. He's one of those characters where he's like a villain that you'll team up with in the end. He's a villain that you'll team up when the world gets fucked, but when the world goes back to normal, you'll fight him immediately right afterwards. That is how it is with him. But I just want to talk about Black Adam. I just want to point that out because everyone was calling Black Adam a superhero. And they were like, well, I think he's a great addition to the superhero films. And I was like, it's just... I understand that in the loose context of words, superhero films, comic book films, you know, they're kind of similar, but they're not. Because comic book movies like is like Watchmen. Watchmen's a comic book movie. You wouldn't sit down with your 10-year-old and watch Watchmen. That's a comic book movie. Movie like, what do you think? A movie like um anything representing like comic books, like this Flash movie. This is a superhero film. This is not a comic book film. And so that's why I keep saying that it's like a Justice League film, because it has nothing to do with the comics at all. The only tie to the comics of this Flash movie is Barry Allen and Batman, and the fact that they look like characters from the comics, but they're not. Like the character, like Michael Keaton, he's a great Batman. He's one of the greats, and I'm actually depressed that they like disrespected his character like this. You know, they like made it so no matter what happens, no matter what his story entails, he dies. You know, his story means that he has to die. I forgot to mention this in the other one, in the other segment, but the fact that there's so much build up to Batman's character. You know, like the shit that he has to go through, him crawling back to going back to being a hero. You know, and him like just being so broken after you know, not just kind of like Batman without a mission, basically. um you watch an hour in some for watching this guy basically get back on his feet after being like a complete shutout to society, having Alfred die, having, you know, all these characters die, and have him come back and spend all this time building up his character to put him back on the costume to convince him to be Batman again, but it doesn't matter because he dies and he's supposed to die and the whole world's supposed to die and there was no point to bringing him back. it's like that's a superhero film in a sense where they're just trying to make money. They're not actually trying to like they're not trying to be like, hey, this is a cool comic book, I'd like to bring it to life. They're not bringing characters to life, they're making money. So there's some movies like that, like where they're just trying to make money and they're not bringing characters to life. So that's the difference. The difference between comic book film is that you're bringing a character to life. You're seeing them from the pages, lift off the pages onto the screen. Like, oh man, there's a lot of like Iron Man and Captain America and type shit, and Spider-Man. Seeing him like go from being a comic book character to being in live action, you're seeing him pop out of the page and become a live action character, which is cool because you don't get to see that very often. But movies where they're just trying to make money, you know, like there's a lot of good ones, like you know, um, Man of Steel, which was a deep thing about Superman, basically um, him trying to understand that he's grew up on Earth, but he's like an alien, so it's like, should he consider people on Earth his people, kind of thing, and how he feels like he doesn't fit in. That is a comic book film, Man of Steel. But like the next movie, Batman v Superman, that's a superhero film. So it's like yeah, there are moments from the comics they took, but here's the thing, comic book storylines don't fail. They don't fail to be, dumb or irritating. And if they're dumb, it's purpose, and it's not like dumb as in a sense where I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have never saw it. Like Fant Four Stick, that's a good example. Fant Four Stick, when Fant Four Stick came, that is a superhero film, in a sense where they're trying to make money. They're not trying to bring the Fantastic Four to life. They're trying to make people excited for something and having it pay off, you know, having their wallets be affected. And there's no storylines being taken from any comic books. I mean, fucking. I would say even the Fantastic Four that came before that is the closer, but still kind of a superhero film. Like you could tell, like, okay, they are actually like trying to make it they got their powers from like space and shit, and then Doctor Doom and shit, and they mentioned like some lore, like Silver Surfer, he like works for Galactus and shit. But in a sense where that also, even though it was like my childhood, that doesn't mean it was a comic book film. It's like it's comic book related, which is what I would call superhero films, which are just films where people are trying to make money. They're not trying to bring characters to life. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. And also, just because, what was my next segment here? Next segment is what we should have gotten. Um, yeah. So I want to mention the anti-hero thing. That phrase is being thrown around like the plot of this movie, just tossed without any rhyme or reason. There's no fucking point to even you know, anti-hero. Venom's being called an anti-hero. Black Adam's being called an anti-hero. Loki, fucking God, so many characters that are full-on villains. Characters like God, there's some more I could bring up. They'll people will even say shit like Ocean Master and Black Manta and shit. Huh? Um, Probably since like the same time I went to sleep, which was probably like as soon as I dropped Cameron off in the morning. Damn. I think he was awake from last night too. It's like several days of. Oh yeah, his nose is bleeding before I went to work. That one day. Yeah, I think he was awake for longer than I was because I took Cameron to school and came back and then I went right to sleep. But when I woke up, I woke up like at 4 and he's still sleeping. So yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so anti-hero. The term anti-hero is when a hero does something that's like kind of not as like good, like Deadpool. I will 100% agree with you that Deadpool is a fucking anti-hero for real. And that's because it's the ideals that matter. Because you can't just go around calling every fucking character who's a villain who does, the characters that you're describing who are villains who do good things. That's not an anti-hero. It's an anti-villain. Anti-villain is a character who is a villain who sometimes will do good things. That's an anti-villain. But the second that those good deeds are over, they go back to being a villain. That is an anti-villain. An anti-hero is a character who is a hero character, has hero-based morals, and sometimes will let those morals slide, like in exchange for the greater good, being like Punisher, characters like Deadpool who are actually anti-heroes. They will kill people. Like even Moon Knight, you could say is not a hero, but like an anti-hero. Like he's killed people. Like characters that like Jason Todd, like Red Hood. He's an anti-hero. He was like a villain, right, for like one of the Batman comic, but after that he was an anti-hero. He wasn't just killing people. He's also saving lives. But you can't just walk around and just call every person who teams up with the hero a fucking anti-hero. It's so irritating with all the shit just being incorrectly fucking, and everybody and their labels nowadays. You'd think that'd be fucking important. So that's the huge thing for me is that characters like Black Adam, like characters like Venom, characters like Doctor Doom, characters like Lex Luthor, not anti-heroes. They are anti-villains. People with evil morals, with negative morals, that usually supply only them, that will sometimes do good things in order to make the world back to the way it was, basically. They will save people sometimes, but only in that situation. You know, like, for example, in the movie Black Adam, the reason that he was even helping them is because there was an evil greater than him. And as soon as they defeated that evil, they had to like fight Black Adam, which is like that is how it is because characters like Black Adam, like Doctor Doom, technically, they've done evil things, but like Stan Lee said, Doctor Doom, he never saw Doctor Doom as an evil character because Doctor Doom just does what the government does to protect their shit, which they will kill people in order to protect their shit, which is what they do. So they're evil in a sense where you know, they they're evil on a larger scale. Characters like Thanos are, evil for, it's like people start calling Thanos an anti-hero and it's just like y'all need to stop. Thanos ain't no fucking anti-hero. He ain't even an anti-villain. He is straight up villain. Doctor Doom, he's like an anti-villain sometimes, but normally he is a big villain. Like in both Ultimate, like 1 and 2, like a third one. I think there was a third one. I don't know. There was like the first one or something like that where he was like a bad guy, then he was a bad guy again, and then it was like someone else. It was like a whole war instead of just being him. I think that was the third one. But with this fucking movie, it's like this movie really is a superhero film because it's just promotion. They're just trying to promote everything. Clearly, all the budget went into the promoting, and the cups and the costumes in the sense where it's like, here, buy his costume, like Halloween costume and shit. Comic book films are not films you would want to watch It's like the difference between animation and cartoons. Like Rick and Morty, not for children. SpongeBob, that's for children. They're both cartoons. One serves a different purpose. It's the meaning that matters. And that's basically what I have to say about that. Just doing some little teaching you how to fucking understand shit. Alright. Just change into the next segment. Hold on a second. See if I did the right part 6. What we should have gotten. And I don't know, let's go back to Metropolis for this one. I just like the background to be different. So when if you're skipping through and you're trying to find all these parts, you can easily find it. So what we should have gotten. So this is the Flash movie I'm talking about. I don't even want to call it that. It's like a Justice League film, basically. And in this Flash fucking movie, what the movie should have been, it should have had. See, a good Flash movie would have been this. In that universe, we should have seen it. Should have started with, of course, a villain interaction, which is like not a main villain interaction, just like a side one to make you get interested in the world. It's like kind of like a writing trick. Pull out a character, kind of like in the PS2 Spider-Man game, where you fight Shocker, but he's like not the main villain. You always gotta have like a villain that's there just to have fun with, and then they'll have an actual villain that has nothing to do with that story, because these characters, their lives are being consumed by like these superhero drama way of life where they can't go even an hour to themselves without having to save the world and shit. So in the beginning, I mean, you could still do Batman if you really just want to go full balls deep in Batman. Um, you really could have done Batman meets someone that he can't best, like Captain Cold or Weather Wizard or something like that. You can even, I mean, I wouldn't go full Thawne. We've seen Thawne beat the fuck out of Batman before, like in comics. I say it should have been someone like Captain Cold. Seeing Captain Cold in this world, and also being the leader of the Rogues, it would make sense if they were planning on doing a sequel. Then you could add him in the next film, and that would have been kind of like a comfort character. Be like, oh my god, like it's Captain Cold, and Captain Cold has like some quips with Barry, where he's like, at the end, Barry is like, just as long as you don't kill people, I'll be okay with it, or something like that. Not okay with it, but I'll be here to stop you. Just don't kill people. And then Captain Cold could go, and then that's like, you're like, oh, that's how it starts with the whole deal with him and the Rogues, where, like, he doesn't go full on, like, trying to kill the Rogues. He just, like, tries to stop them. But they have this kind of, like, understanding. Like, Captain Cold will be like, oh, okay, alright, I'll give up this one time just because, just because of our little thing that we have going on between us. But like this little deal that we have. But it should have introduced. Whoa, I've never seen that end. That's cool. It should have started with that. It should have started with like a cameo villain. It shouldn't have been some random thugs. And instead of the whole can thing, which was dumb, tomato can soup universe destruction, you could still do that storyline, but it's like Thawne should have been in the movie most of the time. Wally West should have been added, because at this point, what appearance is this of Barry? We've seen him in Batman v Superman, which was one. We've seen him in the Justice League film, which we're only going to count the one, because technically it's only one film. It just was redone. We're doing Zack Snyder Justice League because it has more character, like, it actually has more attention being paid off to the character and not just someone trying to make money off of it. Like Joss Whedon's Justice League was money making. And you can tell because that PS2 effects appeared in Joss Whedon's Justice League, whereas Zack Snyder's Justice League had no PS2 effects. It was all very beautiful, and I feel like the biggest scene that we saw, the biggest coolest moment was the Speed Force event, and the fact that it was almost given a nomination, amazing. That's how you know it's good. And it's not just me saying that. It's literally critics were like, this is the best fucking moment of the movie. You know, it's like the highlight of the movie. But anyways, it should have been like him meeting a new Flash character, other than just always seeing Batman and Justice League together. It's like, yeah, clear. It's clear that he's just there. He's in the Justice League in this reality. But if it's a Flash movie, it has to be about Flash. Kind of like where Man of Steel, we got to see characters like Lois, you know, Martha Kent, even his dad. His dad was technically dead for the whole movie, and we still got to see him. We saw characters like fucking, um, the random guy who's a bully for Superman had more screen time than Thawne did this movie, and that was just any because they cut Thawne out of the entire movie. Thawne should have been in the movies. Step one, basically. And step two is getting more fucking Flash characters in the movie. Any characters. Captain Cold, fucking. I feel like Captain Cold's like perfect for that world because it's all. That world's very like technology based, but you could. They did Girder in the comic where it was like, oh, before the movie started, he was fighting Girder, and then he went to like the cafe or whatever. I haven't read it, but I'm just guessing that's like what happened like a day or two before or something like that. Him and Batman fighting Girder, which that should have been the opening of the movie. Him fighting random thugs and putting babies in microwaves should have never happened. That should have never occurred. But honestly, that wasn't even the worst part of the movie, which is why I'm letting it slide. But Iris should have been in the movie the whole time. She should have gone saying that because it's called The Flash. It has nothing to do with him. The story has nothing to do with Barry. Like, yeah, sure, he stops his mom from dying by buying a can of fucking tomatoes. Other than that, really, all the Barry stuff is just him acting in the movie, trying to figure out his situation, and has nothing to do with his actual, like, story writing. Like, he didn't go back in time and stop, like, Thawne. And he wasn't being chased by, like, Thawne. He was being chased by a random character they created that they just want to make money off of because they were too lazy to write an actual story. And we should have had, like, Wally or something. Somebody. Jay Garrick even. I would have been okay with, like, a Jay Garrick scene where he goes and he meets, like, he goes in the multiverse and instead of a young Barry, he meets, like, Jay. Anything could have been better than what we got. Anything. Well, meeting Wally as a secondary character or meeting Jay as a secondary character, then it would make sense because you're calling it The Flash. The movie's called The Flash. And then he meets another character called The Flash. It would be cool. And then he goes into another universe, meets a guy who calls himself The Flash, and he's a dark version of Wally from a universe where he's like evil, where it's to be decided. But it's like, that's a Flash movie. A Flash movie is a character, like it'd be like if I named a character Spider-Man, and Spider-Man was in the movie, but he was solving everyone else's problems. It's like Spider-Man's gonna fight Doctor Doom. Not that he hasn't done that before, but you know what I mean? Like, if I'm gonna watch, like, something where it's oriented around the character and it's called that, like, if the movie was just called Spider-Man, and it had nothing to do with him. Like, Uncle Ben wasn't mentioned. Aunt May was only in one scene. Um, no villains from Spider-Man ever. Like, Iron Man, which I know I'm basically, like, describing Homecoming. But at least in Homecoming, we got to see, like, Vulture. We got to see, like, Shocker a little bit. Shocker kind of wasn't like amazing in that movie, but at least he was there. We got Tinkerer, Vulture, and Shocker in one movie. That's the shit I'm talking about. Even at their worst, they're still doing better than DC's movie. I can't even call it best or worst. That I want to call it the worst, but we've had worse movies than this one. It's just this one hurt because Flash is actually my favorite fucking DC character. I fucking love the Flash. I'll put Batman as a second. I love Batman. I know almost everything about Batman. But if I had to choose who my favorite character is, that'd be the Flash, only because his story is just so interesting, you know. And I've never been disappointed by a Flash comic. There's some where I'm reading like Batman, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know, it's so stupid. He's like, sometimes, sometimes Batman doesn't always get hits, you know. Like, not stupid. I shouldn't say that. It's not really like, there are comics I'll read of Batman where I'm like, I don't really like this comic as much as the other ones, you know, where I'm like, oh, that's okay. Every time I've ever read a Flash story of any context, it's always been like, oh my god, that is crazy. Like, what the fuck is happening? You know, that's the response I've always gotten. I've never read a Flash comic and gone, oh my god, what the fuck was that? That was not as good. You know, even in the old stories, they're still good. Because it's just so cool, you know, he could have called himself the Flash because his favorite superhero is called the Flash, which is actually canon in several universes. The fact that Jay Garrick is a comic book in Barry's universe, and in another universe, Jay Garrick is a real character, and Flash is who he's called. And the reason why Barry calls himself Flash is because he saw his favorite character in a comic book called the Flash, and that's actually real. That's actually comic book, like, that is a comic book. That is what a comic film would have done. They would have showed you Barry, like, having a little, let's just say he had, like, a figurine, you know, and he calls himself the Flash because his favorite character was the Flash. You know, kind of like how Batman's was the Grey Ghost in the animated series, or Mask of Zorro. Still counts. Still counts. Oh, shit. It still counts, but it's like, we should have had something that was great. We should have had, I actually make comics of my own that I try to do because I see stuff like this and I'm just so depressed that what they've done to our beautiful characters because they don't care about them, they're just trying to make money off of them. And I actually really, like, if I wasn't poor, I would be a comic book writer 100%. Like, if I didn't have to, like, provide money for myself, I would be a comic book writer. And if my hands weren't so raped, I could do it with ease, but it's kind of hard because I got, like, this thing with my hands. But, anyways, I'm basically just saying that I'm actually planning on doing something. I make these comics on my own. I make it with just paper and pencil, like I said. I don't have a lot of shit. I'm not fucking Jeff Bezos, you know, I ain't Steve Jobs. I don't got fancy technology. I got iPads and iPhones from like 10, 20 years ago, and I still use them today. I'm actually really behind like a caveman according to everybody else in the world. But I am planning on doing something. That'll be my next segment I'll talk about. But what we should have gotten a goddamn Flash movie. That's what we should have gotten. We should have gotten, and if you're gonna do that movie, that's fine, but do not call it The Flash. That movie is called Justice League Zod's Return. That's what that fucking movie is called. Hold on. I can't remember if I did green or not. Fuck it, we'll do green. Okay. So, this is part 7. What I'm gonna do about it. So, this is basically just me updating everything and everything. Me talking about the, what I'm gonna do to try and make better content. I want, the reason why you haven't seen me in a long time, this is a good place to put it. I've I did DoorDash for a long time, for many years. But recently I've got a job where I can actually afford my bills and shit. But they're 12-hour shifts. So I've been working all day. I work nights. And so by the time I come home, it's like 4 in the morning. And literally like 5 days will pass. Weeks will pass, and I won't even realize it. And so time has been just moving by so fucking quickly for me. And but I have plans. I want to learn animation eventually in the future, and I want to if I learn animation, I have this idea. I have a meme show I kind of want to start, kind of like how Meat Cannon's got his like funny goofy ass show. Uh, he's got all kinds of like goofy shit, that he does, and he's a great. It'd be great to take a class from Meat Cannon, learn how to animate, with Meat Cannon. It'd be great. I'm not trying to call him, like talk to him or anything, because he's like an actual awesome animator, and I'm just like a kid playing a stupid fucking game because I'm an idiot. I don't know shit about nothing. But I eventually want to learn animation, and I want to have the show, and it's going to be called Season 14. And the reason it's going to be called that is because it's just going to be a meme show. Everything that's ever been on TV, like the first episode will be Drake and Josh season 14. There'll be episodes where it's like the future version of characters and stuff. And it could be anything from DC characters, the Marvel characters, the Star Wars, the fucking Blue's Clues, the goddamn Bluey, the Teletubbies, the fucking, you know, Over the Hedge, SpongeBob, literally anything you could think of that is literally like in media, I will put it in the show that I'm gonna call season 14. If I don't know when I'm gonna be able to do that because, like I said, I work long hours. But I also, on the side of that, I want to eventually also make my own Flash animated film, kind of like one day. That is like a dream of mine to kind of do that. And I have a lot of these dreams, like I would like to make my own Flash type of show where it's uh like the CW show. It'll probably be animated, knowing me, but it'll be like the CW show, but basically what what the show would have looked like if what's his name? What the show would have looked like if Eric Wallace didn't become main director and it was the other guy, which I can't remember his name right now, but I'm sure I'll remember it after this is over. Yeah, this is not coming to me at all. Um, yeah, I want to do that. I want to, it'll be like several seasons. It'll be like from season 6 to season 9, but the other half of season 6, and it'll basically be like literally right after Crisis, after the characters were revived from after the Crisis. It'll be from there to the end, and it'll be how the show was supposed to be, and how it would be much better if it was written like this. And I want to do that as a dream of mine, to make it perfected, because I feel like the Flash show CW was actually really good up until season 6. Season 6 happened, and when season 6 went into halfway into season 6, Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, and they were like, well, we've done everything that we can do. The guy who was the writer, the show writer, he just said, well, I'm done. I'm not going to do any more seasons. And they were like, we want to keep making money off of this shit, and so they ruined the show and ran it into the fucking ground, by making Eric Wallace the director. Eric Wallace being like the same as this Andy fucking guy, literally just raping characters into the ground. you know, doing several doing several storylines in one season incorrectly. Like you can do it and have it work, but the way that he was doing it, it was not working. Not revealing characters until the last second and having them be defeated last second. It's kind of shitty. It's kind of dumb. You know, doing it like that. It's kind of fucking like the worst writing I've ever seen in comic book film type live action shit. But it's like I want to eventually I have a whole bunch of plans that I got. I could even, only because I only have access to like paper and shit right now. I want to make like a comic book. I'm making this. Actually, I'm making a fan comic about Batman, and it's gonna feature Wrath and Hush because Hush and Wrath are my favorite Batman villains, and just like the Flash, they are misused and never used correctly, if shown at all. And so I'm gonna do it myself. I'm doing The Wrath Returns, and it's The Wrath from the 80s, from 1984, where he came back. It's a comic about Hush and Wrath teaming up to go against Batman. Batman's like old, and he's like the oldest without him being too old where it's stupid, So, so I'm doing that currently. I'm at like page 16 or something like that. I still haven't got to the beginning, because when you do correct story writing, you're actually passionate about it for real and not bullshittingly. Like, you're not just saying that, you actually are passionate, like I am. It takes a while. And I'm not going to rush it, because you can't rush perfection. And I'm not going to, but I want to make a Flash kind of fan comic. The only way I'm going to get away with that, though, is if I don't make any money off of it, which is I'm okay with. It needs to exist in the world, and I would do anything to make it exist. I will make my own Flash comic. And I'm just not sure what to, you know, there's so many storylines I could do.
Oh yeah, I'm the Kool-Aid man, just taking up on you like this outfit that my
You
baby.
want it, Cameron?
I just want you to look at my baby.
Yeah, you see him doing something.
Yeah.
Just get on with it.
So I'll get on with it.
Don't do that.
Bye.
Christ.
Bye to your TV sucks.
Okay. Pointless fucking interruption. Fucking... Yeah, I make my own comics, but it takes me a long time to do it because I don't have any time or any workplace to do this. So I do my best with what I have, and it's not much, but I have like entire phones just filled to the brim of storage of me just like being like, this is what I want the story to be. I have entire fucking multiverses of stories that I haven't been able to bring to life just because my life is so fucking busy. But I have some Flash content. And you know what? I might try to do this movie. I could try. Start with a comic book, and then try to do it in animation whenever I get the ability. Hopefully before I fucking die. Hopefully by the time I leave this earth, I've made a whole Flash kind of like animation, which I'm not gonna let anything stop me. But it's kind of hard when you have to like pay bills and shit. I get to be a fucking responsible adult. Excuse me, you know how it is. So basically, this movie sucked. Fucking Christ. How the fuck do you spell excessive? We're gonna spell it like this because I just don't care anymore. Yeah, so this movie was like so fucking stupid. They made such bad fucking decisions, but it's like, um, yeah. So that's basically the end of my rant. So now I'm just like kind of ranting, just entirely. There are a lot of decisions they make that just completely fucking raped the movie. It could have been better, and I don't know why people act like it's like a good fucking movie. Like, yeah, if you know nothing about the character, you'll probably have a good time. You'll have a good time, the same as you'll have a good time watching it as if you're just a regular moviegoer. As a moviegoer, yeah, it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie to watch. But as a person who actually loves this character, it it's like the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Honestly, and I've seen some bad shit. Like, honestly, this movie was probably worse than. Oh man, I gotta think about it. I don't know. If I had to either watch this movie again or watch, what was it, season 9? No, season 8. Season 8 with the negative, stupid forces. I'd rather watch that just because it's silly. And this is just like silly too, but not in any way that respects anything of the character. It's like silly in a bad way, if that makes any sense. And this is my Flash character. I don't know, maybe I'll make it like this. I wanted to make like a Flash, I thought about making a Flash comic, like, like what I would do if I was allowed to make like a Flash story. I don't know what I would do with it though. I don't want it to suck. You know, I'm sure I'll come up with something. But yeah, it's like it really sucks because they get characters like they get these people coming back, like Michael Keaton and like General Zod, the guy playing General Zod, and now they probably hate those characters just because they in the moment they're like, oh, this is great, I'm back, I've returned as this character, but then they realize that they're being fucked with. Like, they were like, yeah, we're bringing you back not because you were a good character, but because we want to make money. So that's the reason you're returning. And that's just a stupid fucking reason. Just couldn't see him. You know, it is demonic. It is quite demonic. The things that they've done with this fucking character, you know, it's the movie could have been great. Could have been a great movie. You know, and why haven't we seen fucking Wally as Flash? I mean, it's like they're just edging us with being like Wally exists and that's it. You don't ever get to see him like this. You never get to see him as an adult. He's always a child, and he always is just in the Teen Titans. Never grows the fuck up and becomes Flash. You never see him as Flash like he's supposed to be. And then you could have Thinker appear. But in that universe, Thinker was like completely fucking eaten alive by Starro. You know, so that fucked our chances. Still, um, yeah, yeah. Now you can see why I couldn't just make like a 2 minute review of this. I had so much shit to say about this shit. It's so fucking stupid. It's so stupid that I felt like everybody was praising it and shit, and it's just it's you know they're only the people praising this movie for being good. It's the same reason you would praise a parody movie for being funny. Like, yeah, it's great, it's funny, but is it a good Flash movie? No. It's not even a Flash movie. It has nothing to do with Flash. Like I said many times before. But, at this point I'm just trying to find something to I'm just like picking pieces at this point because I've already gone through like all that stuff. So, yeah. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. So this character that I'm as right now is, I call it the Good West. And I might do a comic called The Good West where it is this character right here. This character right here is based off of New 52, Future Flash comic. And in that comic, there was a character where in the middle of it, Flash, like normal Flash, was being kidnapped by Future Flash, and so who came to save him? Of course, another Flash, and that Flash was this one. It was Wally West from a different timeline where Barry was his like Thawne, and I was like, oh man, that's so cool. It's like a version of version of Wally that grew up and became Flash, but this is his costume for one. If you look up his costume right now, like New 52 Wally West, the Good West, if you type that in, he would look just like this. Like I worked so hard to get it look just like him, and I want to do a comic of this version of Wally because he appears for 2 seconds and then dies. And then you're like, what in the fuck? He never grows up ever again after this. Every time he's ever shown after this, he's always a child. He's always a child. He never grows up, and it'd be cool to see him. It's like we saw the era of Wally West Flash in the 90s, and they just like never did it again. But I want to see this version of Wally West, this version of Kid Flash that grew up and chased Future Flash, down. Like, I want to see his evolution, his origin. I want to see it. And I want more Daniel West, because that's another character that they have, but they just don't fucking use, like, ever. Like, they make these, like, banger characters, and they just will do nothing with them. Like, Daniel West, 2 comics that I can think of. He was in a comic where, obviously, it was his whole story, his whole arc, where he was Reverse Flash. And then they did one where he was in the Suicide Squad, but then he dies, and you're like, what? Oh yeah, then I guess you could say he was in the Future Flash comic, but he dies too, so every time they're showing him after that, he just keeps getting fucking killed, which is really annoying, because he was a really cool character. Seeing him would be awesome. Suicide Squad? Oh yeah, if you're talking about the Suicide Squad movie being the one with King Shark in it, that one was great. I would say the first one. The only thing really bad about that really was like, um, the only thing bad about that movie was definitely the Joker. Joker was, I can't even. He was a meth head or some shit. I don't know why why he was so stupid. It's just some people can't play the Joker correctly, and I just think maybe they made a wrong choice in trying to cast him as that actor. It's like, you know, you don't always. It's kind of gambling when you get an actor, and you're hoping they'll do a good job. You don't always get a good performance, but I think that's what that was. They didn't show him enough. The fact that he dies in that movie is just like, oh, Joker actually has a healthy relationship with Harley was kind of not good to tell people because you know how Joker and Harley are, and when that first movie came out, there was a lot of confusion. People really thought that their relationship was wholesome, and anyone who knows Joker and Harley knows that ain't the fucking truth. But, yeah, the one without Joker, that one was awesome. Even though, at the beginning, they had Captain Boomerang, which was, like, depressing. That hit hard. I didn't want to see him die. He was a cool character, you know. But that just means that, who could have popped up in the Flash movie after that? Because that's supposed to be in the same universe. Because, what's his name? The guy who is Captain Boomerang? His son becomes the next Captain Boomerang. So he died. So in the Flash movie, you know who should have been in the beginning instead of random European thugs who come to bomb the place every 5 seconds? a hospital. Who fucking knows? You know, like, why were they doing that? You know, it should have been the new Captain Boomerang, like his son, avenging his father's death. And that would have been so cool. You know, to see Captain Boomerang fight Flash, like, just seeing that rather than seeing Flash microwave babies is not something I want to see. I don't want to see that. You know, see him do stupid shit, buy cans of tomato sauce, and have that affect the entire fucking universe. I want to see him fight Captain Boomerang. You know, the second one from the good movie. But like, you know, like his child. That's what they should have done. They should have done that because they went out of their way to be like, oh, we know Captain Boomerang's he's a Flash villain, but what we're gonna do is kill him off so Flash can never meet him ever again. You know, that would have been a good chance to revive Captain Boomerang. Well, he didn't microwave a baby, but the reason I say it like that is because in that movie, at super speed, he has like all these babies that he doesn't know how to like save them, you know, and so he like puts one on a blanket, puts one in like there's one that's falling, and he grabs a microwave. It's like unplugged, and he put the baby in the microwave and shut it. But if you think about it, I even want to mention this when I do the Ahsoka review thing, only because it's like people are talking about it. Um, he was moving at light speed with a baby in a microwave. And if you move an object at light speed, but the thing inside isn't moving at light speed, the thing around it is, that's how you make a blender. That's how a blender works. So he like blended a baby. He didn't. You know, it's like in the movie he does that and it's like, oh, the baby was safe in the microwave moving at light speed, and then when he set the baby down and opened it, the baby was in the microwave. But it wasn't like on. It was just like he used it as like a protection thing. But I mean, you know, like how did he know that wasn't gonna blend that baby up? Like, what would he have done if realistic physics was put in that, and that baby was just fucking blended at light speed? You know, kind of the same reason of like, why do people not just completely dissolve when he like grabs them and just runs away with them? He has to be like sharing his speed because that just ain't how it works. You know what I'm saying? Like, just great. Um, yeah, man, the Suicide Squad. They've been reminding me. Yeah, that would have been better than what I said. It would be cool to see I said Captain Cold should have appeared in the beginning, but thinking about it, you could do Captain Cold and Captain Boomerang and be like, oh my God, the Rogues, they're not gonna stop. They're recruited a new member, and Barry could have been like, what, a new member? Because you know, you don't even need to introduce the Rogues. People could already know that. Oh yeah. Yeah, the only reason I'm gonna do this Ahsoka review is because people think Andor is the greatest masterpiece of all time. When really, you know what Andor is? Andor isn't even James Bond level of storytelling. Andor is like Star Trek, but it's follow instead of following a character that's like really cool, we follow a character who basically just does stupid shit. You know, I don't even want to get into all that, but it's like I'm just saying, like Ahsoka is so good. I don't know why people are doing that. It's the third coming. Oh yeah, the third coming. It's like, yeah, the Ahsoka. They definitely finished it off, making it seem like they wanted to do another season because it's like, um, they leave it off like kind of like in a cliffhanger. Like, how do they get out of that world? You know, how do they get free? They're just like fucking trapped there. And then the guy whose last performance is staring off a cliff, and they're like, confirmed. He is connected to Darth Sidious and Snoke, confirmed. It's like the guy didn't even have any dialogue. He looked off the edge of a cliff, and that's it. It's like, it's so fucked up. It really is. It was just like, yeah, that was the comic I remembered. That's the one I wanted to do. I was gonna call it The Good West, and it was gonna be the origin of this guy, and have Daniel West be like in there. But I think that, and I have to re look at it again. But I think in his timeline, in this version of the Flash's timeline, like Wally West, the Good West, um, I think Future Flash appeared, like snapped Daniel West's neck, and then went and killed his like younger self. Either that, or he kills Daniel West and then goes to a different time period. Because I'm not sure if it's in the same moment. Because if he doesn't, if he like kills Daniel West and then he goes to a different time period and he kills that version of himself, then I can put Daniel West in the Good West comic, because like it makes sense. But there's just so many timelines happening in that moment where Future Flash is like just jumping to different timelines and just like killing random characters that they don't give you time to like slow down and be like, wait a minute, did Daniel West die in this timeline or is he alive? Like in this version of Wally where he's like fully grown and he's like chasing basically like Future Flash down. Is he also dealing with Daniel West, or is he just dealing with himself? So they were like, boom, I'm coming here to save you, and I'm gonna die in like the next page. But it's like he lived his entire life to get to that moment. And who's to say he even died? Well, he like disintegrate or something? You know how many times I've seen Thawne be disintegrated, leaving behind his skeleton, and then he appears in the next story? Like, I'm saying, I'm calling out some bullshit. I'm saying he could still be alive. I mean, this was like the coolest version of Wally West I've ever seen, besides the fucking Walter West that was misinterpreted in this stupid fucking movie, Dark Flash. Yeah, this I want to do a comic of this character, because they never show you his origin. They're just like, he pops in, is like, hey, I'm the Flash now, even though a page ago I was a child. Let's not explain it, and now I'm gonna die. It's like, it was too quick. It was just so much juicy parts. It'd be like getting the best pie you've ever had in existence of pies. This pie out pies every pie in the multiverse of pies. But it's only an inch. It's an inch big. But it's the greatest fucking pie in the multiverse. That's basically what they gave us with this character right here. Edged. Just the definition entirely. Just so fucked. I don't know if I have anything else for this movie. I think it's going on long enough. Oh, God. Not that. Yeah, I also, when I do the Ahsoka review, I want to mention that, because it's like so many characters have been added to the Star Wars universe. We're forgetting who's related to who, and we kind of need to be re-enlightened of, it's kind of like Kylo, Kylo Ren said it best. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to, and if you can't, give up and fuck your cousin. That's what Kylo Ren says, because that's what he did, right? I also just want to point out that in the moment, Christ, in that fucking movie, like right before Kylo Ren dies, they have that moment where they were like together and shit, and they were alone, so they knew that they were doing something wrong, and they waited till no one was watching. That just makes it a little fucking more suspicious. Still like that? I don't like that at all. Just don't want to see any of that. If anything, I'm in that context. It's kind of like why they killed Quicksilver in Age of Ultron. Because if you read the comics, you know that you have to, or else it's gonna be some more of that Sweet Home Alabama shit. And we just cannot allow that in modern age. I mean, I mean, it's like we're animals, but that's ridiculous. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So in that sense, kind of glad he's dead. But it should have been Ray. I think Ray should have died. He should have survived. Or maybe they both should have died. Fuck it. Or how about none of them die? They both survive. No, wait, no, that's not what I want. Because then they'll have children. I don't want that. Christ. It's just no. I don't. There's gotta be a way to save it. Oh, that reminds me too. That was another thing I was gonna say. Um, the Star Wars world. I was gonna make comics of that too, like a what if Star Wars. Like a lot of people say the sequels are where we messed up on Star Wars, but I think it was a lot earlier than that. I think where Star Wars messed up is literally it starts at the very last fight scene of Return of the Jedi, and Vader dying was a mistake. Literally, I'm gonna make my own story of how. Um, yes, how about that? How about that? He lives and he's still evil, because giving up and fucking your cousin is not an acceptable option for cinema. Ridiculous. Like, this ain't Alabama. Planet Alabama, go there forever. Banished. Exiled to Alabama in the continent of West Virginia. Alabama. Yeah. That'd be cool. Yeah, I want to do a story about how, like, Kylo Ren and Rey will still exist, but it'll be like the only difference would be like what happened at the end of Return of the Jedi, and the only thing different is that C-3PO actually had a point in the plot. It wasn't used for just decoration. Which, if you watch all those movies, you realize, okay, there's no storytelling with C-3PO. The only thing they tell you is that, oh yeah, by the way, you know C-3PO? Vader made him. And you're like, what? Why are you telling me that? That's like pointless. Unless like C-3PO does some miraculous shit, there's no point to tell me that shit. You know, he's just like another robot. That's like telling me that that'd be like saying Hank Pym invented the Infinity Gauntlet, but he will never come into contact with it, and it will never affect his life ever in any way, shape, or form. It's not a good use, alright? Painting a picture would have done better. Having him in the background as a picture is what you do when you want decorations. When you have characters that are decoration, it's called disrespect. And that's they should have had him like have meaning. You know, poor R2 and C-3PO. There's entire points of the movie where you're just watching them walk around. You know, it's like they're full-on characters, and what they do doesn't matter because it's just like Vader's. You know, nothing changes. It's like, yeah. So I'm gonna do a comic where it's like the end of Return of the Jedi changes, and uh, it'll be Anakin will still be alive, and he actually becomes like the chosen one instead of him dying, and the main character being random fucking people who end up not being random people because random people and anyone can have the Force, but only if you're related to someone who has the Force. Makes sense, right? And that's the way it happens when you get people who want money versus people who want good story writing. You get big holes in the story like that. But there's another one I was gonna do besides that. Um, just like a what if Star Wars series, which would have been cool, you know, to have. You know, in comic book form. And plus, I'm guessing Star Wars would probably be easier to draw because when it comes to like superhero characters, they have all these designs that matter when they're suits. And but like Star Wars, they're all wearing cloaks, so it's gonna be easier to draw than anything I've ever done. You know, so and technically I've been drawing Star Wars stories since I was a kid. And that's not even a lie. A little fun fact: when I was a kid, when I first learned about Star Wars, I did this little thing, and I wrote in a journal book and it was my English class because my mom homeschooled me at the time, and I had to write in this journal every day, and you wrote a story on the bottom, and then you write a picture to go with that story. So it's kind of like practicing story writing, even as a little kid. And I learned about Star Wars, and so I would literally write journals about Star Wars, and I would draw a little picture of them fighting. Oh, excuse me. But there was one time I was doing it so excessively that mom literally came up to me and was like, "Okay, for today, for your journal, you cannot write about fucking Star Wars. It has to be something other than fucking Star Wars." Which I can't blame her. You know, it's probably really fucking annoying, just constantly hearing about one thing. So you know what I did? I said, "Okay, I'm not gonna do Star Wars." So in the story, it's like two aliens. One's named George, one's named Steve, and they have light sticks that they fight with that can cut through anything. It was like George jumps over Steve and stabs him, cuts his arm off. It was still Star Wars. I found a way to make Star Wars still without ever saying Star Wars or mentioning anything. It was just like Steve and John are aliens that have lightsabers and they fight. I still found a way to do it. So even as a kid, I was doing it. So you know, who knows? Maybe I'll get some. I'll bring those characters in. You know, from my young days. I'll have to pull that out of the vault, the history vault of the Museum of Retardation, which is where I keep all of my valuables. Smash. Smash. Back in the day, English. Back in the day, English was called smash. Smash. Weird. Is that real or are you just bullshitting? Smash. I could be convinced that that's a real fact. If you're not just like fucking with me. Smash. That's right. Maybe. Back in the day. Back in the day. I can imagine with the first people who like had like only understood English, they walk around hearing all these languages. They're like what? Oh, is it bullshit? Man, I was literally like ready to believe it. I was ready. Smash. I was like, I know it's like some Latin combo. It hit me with the Latin combo, and they're like, it's like Latin, it's this language, it's that language. Boom. That's English. But to be the first guy to learn English, and you're like, what the fuck is anyone saying? Because you're the only person that knows English. You know, you just only talk to yourself. So I guess that's why people talk to themselves, because back in the day when it's just you speaking English, only you can understand you. So you have to make another you that can understand you, so that other yous. But it's funny. It should be. I don't see why it can't be. Hey, if Flash can destroy the multiverse with a can of tomato soup or a can of tomato sauce, then I'm pretty sure we can change that history fact. I say it's real. Happened. Smash. Smash. It's a real fact. Yeah, um I definitely would not be able to fit it into the thing. I also want to mention the reason why it's harder for me to post really long videos is because um, I don't have a lot of phone storage, and I'll have like when I made my Retard rant movie, I literally um I literally was doing it on my phone, and when I did it on my phone, it didn't have enough storage, so I had to hook it to a battery that was giving it extra power. Then I had to hook that battery into the plug-in, so it was powering it. Oh, the infamous games. For some reason, my mind read that as rate all the famous games from least to most. I'm like, what? At a long enough line, aren't all games famous? Okay, I see what you're saying. Rate all the infamous games from least to most. Infamous is wait, hold on. I'm using one hand. Shit. Okay, wait, hold on. What's up while I get comfy? Perfect. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay. Now that he's slumbering away. Infamous. All the infamous games from least to most. Least to most? Least to most what? Hard? 1, 2, Blood, Second Son, and Light. That sounds like some weird, like, sleeper agent shit that you just say to someone and they just snap out of it and turn into, like, some secret soldier. 1, 2, Blood, Second Son, and Light. They just, like, fucking change. Oh, favorite? Favorite, I see. Favorite. Hmm. Favorite. This is what Wally's thinking about while he's sleeping. Favorite infamous games. Yeah, I gotta say that the first two are the goats. It's like, I like how you fight yourself in the first one, and the second one is just Trump. You just fight Trump basically, which is great. Trump before it even happened. I've never. I mean, I've only played Blood a little bit. I would eventually like to. I'd rather to go to disc replay and get like if it's not there, then I'll have to buy it like online. But Festival of Blood was so cool. It was like you had blood powers and shit that you got from this Bloody Mary chick. And I don't know. I think our fucking list might be the same because as much as I liked Light, I liked Second Son more than Light. I don't know. I guess it'd be the same with the exception being because I've played Second Son all the way through, so I would say 1, 2, Second Son, Light, and then Blood. I'm only doing Blood last only because I haven't played it a lot, and if I played it all the way through, I probably would put it in that same spot. But only because I haven't played it all the way through, I don't really know a lot about it, you know? In that sense, I would just put it different. But Light was cool. Light was like the only game where you're a speedster and you're an actual like speedster running and shit. It's not just like, that's like another power that you can have. It's like that is your full-on power. And besides like literally the Lego games, I don't know any game that's like you play as a speedster. It's awesome. The story wasn't long enough because it's like if a DLC was a whole game, that's basically what Light was. Just being like, oh, this is where she was. Like, well, before that, before she met Devin. Yeah, I would love to have another game like that. Like another speedster game. Like a game like replays like Flash. That'd be cool. Well, I mean, there's this fucking game, which is why I play it because it is so hard to find games where speedsters are involved because if when they're involved, it's like all right, do your move, and you press it, and they just do a move. Like you're not like exploring the world and shit, or they'll be like you could do movements. But First Light was like you actually could slow down the world while you were running. It was cool. Even in this game, you can't do that. It's like you can run fast, but the world is the same regardless. You know, so Light was like revolutionary, I think, and I think more games should be based off of that type of gameplay programming because it was just really good. The story wasn't too bad either. The story was pretty good. which is nowadays clearly it's fucking hard, I guess, to just write a good story. But yeah, that'd be cool. Make like a flash game, and you could like throw lightning bolts and shit. Because in that game, you could throw, if you were upgraded enough, you could throw these like long bolts at people, which is really cool. You know, then she had these moments where she had like super moments, which was really awesome. Oh, a good example for characters that like games that have speedsters, but they're not used correctly. Like you can't explore worlds. It's like Injustice. Injustice is a great game, but you can't like explore the world. You're just like fighting, you know. So a game like Light, where you're literally running around the city, kind of like GTA style, but you're a speedster, was like something we've never seen before, even with this game, because you can actually like slow time down and shit, which is really cool. But you know, my God, hey, no, that could be the next one. They make a game, and it's like you play as a little kid in Sesame Street, and you have super speed and big birds trying to hunt you down. You can have missions where the Count, is that his name? The Count, like the vampire guy. He's like counting and shit, and you have to like fight him. He's like trying to do a bat and shit. Like 1 minion, ah. 2 minions, 3 minions, Then you can fight Cookie Monster and shit. If I was a game designer, I would make a game like that. Like, it'd be like PS2 Spider-Man in First Light, where you played as a speedster trying to escape Sesame Street, but you have to fight fucking Muppets and shit, or whatever they are. Big Bird's the big bad. And you could team up with Grover, Super Grover, because he was like a superhero. And Elmo. Elmo being like the mastermind, because he was actually like arrested in real life, which is really fucked up. He just gets like fucked up in his room, just imagines like shit after his fish died, or whatever. Yeah. Bear listener. Sesame Street Survival. Sesame Street Survival. The game. That'd be cool. That'd be cool as hell. I think if I Cookie Monster, you could like stop him by collecting cookies and feeding it to him before he kills you. Yeah. Well, I don't know what else to. I think that's about all I planned, basically. Definitely couldn't fit it on a 3 minute video because just too much shit to talk about, and also any further mentionings of goddamn fucking spaghetti can get raped. So I think I'm probably gonna end it here soon. Oh, is that what it says? Chat. Chat. I could I don't have it like on, but there's like an option where every time the chat speaks, I could hear it like in my ears. I've never turned it on, but probably just be like chat. Period. 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 Yeah. Well, I think it's the end of my review. So later, when I can, on my phone, obviously, because I don't have a computer in my house, I'll go through the parts and make it easy for you to find all the parts of. I changed the parts between the thing with the colors, but if you want to go back and look at all my stupid shit that I talked about, then I'll find a way to fix it. It'll probably take me a little bit though. Alright. Well, this has been a special, that's for sure. Don't I feel special? Do you feel special? Ooh. Alright. Well, you know how it is. Stay retarded. Spaghetti? Yes, I did say spaghetti. I had a whole part on it, literally an entire segment, called Thawne. It's part 3. Thawne is defeated by tomatoes. So, probably when I end this thing, you can probably click back on that and see me talk about that. That was a whole segment. I had, one, two, including this one that we're doing now. This is 9 parts. I had to separate it up to, just to get the whole thing out. So, uh, yeah, I had so much to say about this movie that I couldn't chalk it to like 3 minutes. I did not know how long it was gonna be, so I said fuck it. And plus, since I don't, go around like do DoorDash anymore, so I figured I do it like this. I think Wally's about had enough running today. As you can see, he's tuckered out. He's got his shit all over the ground. You know what they say. Oh shit. Alright. It's been good ranting with all of you. I'm gonna have to end it right here. Stay retarded and remember, don't let the lanky men get you.